Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, what is going on, world? This is the KayFabe Smark Podcast. My name is Brian. We are sitting here with episode 93 on March 10th, 2022. Make sure you guys head on over to all the social media outlets, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., and so on. YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you can see when we go live, and let's sit back and talk some professional wrestling. But before we get into professional wrestling, let's kick it over to Mr. Eric Todd. Eric, what is happening in your world?
Oh, you know, same old. Me and the snoozing pit bull over there, Stella Marie, we went on an adventure this weekend. She's got a little too much junk in her trunk, so I wanted to get her out, get some exercise. We went to this big-ass state park around here, and they have a amazing trail. It's super long, super intricate. You can go in and out and everywhere else. But your boy was not prepared. I wore my mesh Under Armour gym shoes. And yeah, it is mid-March right now, so early March. So you're talking nothing but just straight ice and mud the entire way through that trail, Brian. It was a short walk.
A short walk. You're blown out shoes. They're soaking wet. You got wet socks. Nothing will irritate you more than wet socks. I mean, if you want anything in the world that makes me more mad, nothing makes me more mad than wet socks on a walker for a long day.
Yeah, and other people were having problems too, man. This guy slipped and fell, dropped his dog's leash, and then Stella almost ate a mountain dog for lunch. That dog came rounding up on us, and she was like, "You are not my friend. Back the fuck up."
Oh, boy. So it was just a whole stellar event there, and made short works of that one, I assume.
Yeah, so we're going to wait for the ground to dry up a little bit. Maybe go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get some hiking boots or something. And then we'll go ahead and try that adventure again.
Yeah, something appropriate for the weather. I got myself for Christmas, well, I didn't get myself, I got for Christmas a pair of waterproof socks when I go out and play disc golf, and they work pretty damn well. They're like $20 on Amazon, but, you know, dry feet will change your life. So check them out. Dry socks on Amazon. Or waterproof socks.
How do you wash waterproof socks if they don't absorb water?
Man, that's like if a one-handed man was clapping, what would it sound like? A tree falls in the woods.
Spray them boys off and squeegee them. Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've only worn them a couple times, so I haven't really sweat the situation yet. You only wear them for a little bit and throw them to the side. They're like plastic. They're like this plastic. They're like crunchy. So I wear them, a pair of regular socks, then I put my waterproof boys over them, so that way at least I'm filtering my foot funk, so I don't have to wash them as often. But enough about feet, enough about walking your dogs in the mud. We're here to talk about professional wrestling, and before we get too deep into professional wrestling and talking about AEW and the Revolution as it was televised, I mean, they've been saying it since the show started, right? The Revolution will be televised. It was pay-per-view-ized over the weekend. But before we get into that and talk about all of that, Eric, do you have news for us?
I do have a little bit of news, Brian. It was a pay-per-view week, so looks like a lot of people were laying low and just letting that kind of stuff happen. But a few stories did sneak past my eyeballs here, and I'll slap that ticker. We'll get right into them.
Pay-per-view weekend. The news was low. Let's see what Eric found out there on them internets. All right, what do you got for us in the news this week?
All right, so we all know The Undertaker is going to be the first person inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. We found out number 2, Brian. The number 2 guy going to be inducted in 2022 will be none other than Big Vader.
It's time. It's Vader time.
So we're going to see Leon White. We're going to see, well, not Leon himself, but we'll see lots of video footage of Leon. I don't know who's inducting him. A little bit of glare on that action figure there. Yeah. We can't see him too well.
No, sorry about that. I got a little micro brawler of Big Van Vader in the Mastodon with that Mastodon helmet with had the smoke and stuff that he would wear that would come out. You can't see it too well. I ain't gonna mess with all that. Anyways, nonetheless, Google it. Micro brawlers, Big Van Vader, Mastodon.
Yeah, so Vader will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Vader retired in 2012. I don't have when he died here, but still, I think we're 2 for 2. Both of these guys are both big deals in the wrestling world and both deserve their spots in the Hall of Fame.
I honestly thought you were going to go with the Undertaker dead Vader thing. I didn't know if you were going to make the dead man. But yes, this will have to be a big, and not literally physically a big class, but this is going to have to be a class of names going up against the Undertaker, right? You're just beyond, look at it like you're booking the Hall of Fame. Your main event is the Undertaker. Your undercard can't be Marty Jannetty. Nobody's going to remember Marty.
Right. And then moving on from there, Becky Lynch has been hospitalized. I didn't know if this was a work or if it was shoot, but from the looks of her tweet, she posted a photo in the hospital with her tubes and wires and all types of shit all over the place. Apparently, Becky Lynch fractured her voice box at a house show in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Becky posted on Twitter, "Unfortunately, I will not be at WWE Raw tonight. Not only did Bianca whip me mercilessly with the illegal weapon that is her hair last week, but last night in the main event of WWE Allentown, she tried to take away my biggest weapon, the spoken word, by fracturing my voice box."
So she really did fracture her voice box. It's not just a gimmick?
From what the photos look real AF. So I don't know, unless doesn't really seem like it would be a strong storyline to say, hey, I hurt my voice box at a house show. If it was if it was a work, I think they would have did it on TV.
Good point. They do take to the internets and to the Twitters these days, so I didn't know if they were doing something just working people on the internet, but maybe she didn't hurt it. Maybe she just heard it, and who knows. But interesting to have injured your voice box. Not really sure how you do that.
I've never heard of a fractured voice box before, so I don't know.
Well, anyways,
why not send recovery. Becky out there with Kane's gimmick?
Yeah,
I am Becky Lynch.
Reach into
I am the man.
Reach into the box of gimmicks and use Kane's old gimmick toy.
This hasn't been solidified. This hasn't been verified, but Andrew Zarian of Matt Men Pro Wrestling Podcast is reporting that he has heard from sources that none other than Sid will also be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. That being the softball playing Sid Edui.
Maybe we are literally going. Maybe we are literally going for a big class, a physically big class.
Yeah. Sid main evented WrestleManias 8 and 13, and he also main evented Starrcade in 2000. So we all know Sid. We all feared Sid. I was scared the shit of Sid when he was a baby face.
Yeah.
He's just one mean looking Jerry curled son of a bitch.
We all saw Sid break his leg in WCW, jumping off of the middle rope in wearing jean shorts. And also,
I saw that on Kazaa. Downloaded that video illegally with a phone connection,
a
dial-up connection,
14.4 modem. You started before school, and the 8-minute clip was over by the time you got home. I also one time went to an ECW show at the State Fairgrounds here in Michigan, down in Detroit, and we were waiting in line to get into the venue, and who drives by in a minivan? None other than Sid. Psycho Sid was on the bill, and he drove himself up in a minivan. We saw him come in with a few of the other boys as they were driving by, but you never forget Sid in a mom wagon.
Yeah, that's great. What's a Trent's mom or whatever that
yeah.
likes to drive him around?
Yeah. Maybe that's who it was. Maybe he wasn't driving. Maybe Trent's mom had him in the van.
Yeah. Speaking of big, Miro, remember that guy?
Yeah, he was really popular for a while. He was an asshole, and then he came back as really good, and now he's just disappeared with no story. Even if it's real, it's still no story.
We have not seen Miro since Full Gear back in November, but Fightful Selectors reporting that Miro has signed a contract extension set to last at least until the start of 2026. So nearly a 4-year contract from Miro here, if that's indeed true. Looks like AEW and Miro had already agreed on the deal late last year. It just took some time to get it all finalized. Miro has been shoot injured since that November event.
Yeah, I just find it weird. They haven't explained it at all. They just kind of just swept him under the rug. Not even like even worked it into a storyline. Nothing. Not even just straight up said, "Listen, he got injured. It's just the way it is. He's gone." But like, just nothing. Just ignore it. I guess when he comes back, it'll be a huge deal. Maybe that's what they're going for.
Yeah, who knows? And then our final story of the week. This is some big news in some circles. It's not really a surprise to anybody, and we will touch on AEW Dynamite just a little bit. We got a long pay-per-view to cover here, but the big event of Wednesday night's Dynamite was the AEW debut of none other than Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy coming in to help his brother out, and it looks like the Hardys are back together.
Party Hardy, we are here. Yeah, the Hardys back together. Have one last run as the Hardy Boys, maybe Brother Nero, and we'll go back to the old Delete gimmick and whoever Matt Hardy decides to name his character this time. But nonetheless, the Hardys back together. Not for sure for how long or what it exactly means. Is there any leaking about his contract status and what he signed and what that means?
I have not seen anything about his status, just that as of Wednesday, yesterday, he became a free agent, and then voila, shows up on AEW and using some very familiar music, Brian.
Yeah, it sounded like God dang, it just sounded like the WWE version, didn't it?
It sure did, and I did a little bit of digging there, and from what I found out, WWE doesn't own that theme. It's just some sort of stock music. Maybe old Jeff was floating around on free YouTube or something and found one of their drum beats, and yeah, apparently it's royalty-free music that old Jeff's using.
It just seems like with WWE and their lawyers and who the Hardys came to be. Now I can get if let's just Greg Valentine's music slip through their fingers and you go, oh hell, we didn't own that. Just somebody that really didn't make a big name in the WWE at the time, right? But the Hardys, the Hardy Boys, Jeff Hardy, did a little bit with that music and that feel. So you would think even if it was royalty free, the WWE and their lawyers would have figured out a way to buy it. Because it's royalty free, that just means there's nobody's claiming and making money off of it. So it's just open. So just find the guy who made it and give them money, and now you own it.
Right. But that weirded me out a little bit because I was thinking, did Tony Khan really contact WWE and say, hey, I want to license this music? That would have been opening the forbidden door more than fucking bringing Wheeler Yuta in or whatever.
We've opened the forbidden door. We've bought Wheeler Yuta in, and Kenny Omega went and wrestled in a warehouse for Impact. Like, who gives a fuck?
But that's going to wrap it on the news, Brian.
All right. But
it's a wrap on that.
You panicked for a second. I thought you had somewhere to go. That was the news. Jeff Hardy's in AEW using his WWE music because, well, it's royalty-free, and go fuck yourself. So that has been the news. That's the KayFabe Smark news this week. All right. ladies and
Was
gentlemen,
that the news?
that was the news. This is the news. That's the news. Speaking of running out of things to say, let's go ahead and play.
Let's play Overrated or Underrated with Eric Todd.
That's right, overrated, underrated with Eric Todd. We are going to do a little talk about legends this week. Legends who never won a world title. Let's overrate or underrate them. Overrated or underrated? Arn Anderson. Mind you, never winning a world title, so use that in your thought process.
All right. Arn Anderson, clearly a legend, clearly a great, but I can't say he's underrated because just Arn Anderson with the belt would have been ridiculous. With the world title anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe back in 1974 or something, where a bald guy in just red panties can run around as champion. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Arn Anderson when I was a kid. Now that I'm older, I appreciate everything he's done. But I think now the way they push him in AEW as a coach and they just lick his hairy bald balls there, I think Arn Anderson's a tad bit overrated.
Tad bit overrated for Arn Anderson. I think Arn was perfectly placed in where he was at. He was a great tag team champion guy. He was a great Intercontinental U.S. champion, TV champion, whatever you want to call it, between WCW, WWE, all of those. So he's a great that mid-card champion right there in the TNT world. Arn Anderson is just synonymous with the WCW TV title. That's what Mr. Andrew Shad says as he pops into the chat, and that is fact, as I was just going over that. All right, overrated or underrated, Junkyard Dog.
Oh, JYD, man. Listening to Corny's podcast, I have learned so much about Junkyard Dog and how much of a freaking slob he was and how fat he got and how lazy he was. JYD in his prime, in the NWA days, was killer. He could draw. He could work his ass off. He was super athletic. By the time JYD made it to WWE, and I was the biggest Junkyard Dog fan on the block. I loved him. But I didn't know that he was extremely fat and out of shape then. And the fact that he made it as far as he did in WWE, being as bad as he was, JYD was overrated big time.
You're not seeing JYD walk around with a world title?
No, not at all. In the NWA days, I've heard the stories. I've seen the matches. JYD was a killer back in those days, but in WWE, just what a fat, lazy slob.
Overrated or underrated? Legends that never held the world title. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Oh, man. Ted DiBiase is as much shit as I could talk about him for his recent shenanigans. Basically being a fake-ass preacher and stealing money from everybody around him. We're just strictly talking about his talent and his work in the WWE, where everybody knows him from. And $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, I think was an underrated talent. I think he should have held that belt.
Oh, yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. I didn't know where you're going because I know how you hate Ted DiBiase, like on a real level, but I didn't know
personal level. Yeah.
Overrated, underrated, legends who never held a world title. Rowdy Piper. Roddy Piper.
So Roddy Piper, I'm not sure. Is it Bruce Pritchard that always says it, that he didn't need the belt?
Probably.
Roddy Piper was the reason that phrase was invented. He just he extremely talented, worker, talker, you name it, thinker. He was top of the tops, but he was too talented for the belt, man. So anyone who says he didn't get it because he didn't deserve it, that being the world championship, would be lying, and he would be an underrated talent in my eyes.
Oh, 100%. Last one for you. Legends who never held a world title. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, the man, Chico himself. Where you at with Scott Hall?
Scott Hall's another one who didn't really need it, but yeah, I I can't really place him as an overrated or an underrated talent. I think he's gonna
Properly
just do
rated.
one of these right in the middle there and be perfectly rated. Scott Hall. He didn't need the title, but nobody underrates Scott Hall. Everyone sees his talent and recognizes it.
For sure. He was a great, again, he did really well that mid card and it made me grasp onto those mid card titles, that Intercontinental Championship, the WCW when he jumped over there, the U.S. Championship, TV Championships again, like Arn Anderson. He really put a name to him and really fought for him and held him, Same with Mr. Perfect for me. But that is overrated or underrated. That was legends who never held a world title. And now, my friends, it's time to dive in and talk about AEW, as the Revolution was televised this weekend. So we are going to break down this pay-per-view and see what Eric thought, see what I thought, and see what it all meant. And then we will go forward from there. Eric, whoops, wrong button there. What do you got for us? Start us off.
Well, first things first, Brian. AEW's got to figure this shit out. They can't be running I mean, if you count the buy-in, you're talking a 5.5 hour pay-per-view on a Sunday night.
Starting at
This
8
thing's-
o'clock.
Yeah, it was just brutal. You and I had to improvise, and we had to order it on whatever Bleacher Report and log into each other's accounts and shit. It was a whole fiasco because there was no way we were traveling and gonna sit there until 1:30 in the morning watching this thing at each other's house.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if you're gonna run a 5 hour pay-per-view, do that shit on Saturday night.
Do that shit. Put that shit on a Friday. Put that shit on a Saturday. Come on now. We're
Yeah.
old and got kids.
We're gonna run through the buy-in real quick. I watched the buy-in on Monday evening. I watched the main thing on Sunday night, and then I popped in and watched the buy-in on YouTube. I had to check that out. First thing first on the buy-in, we had Layla Hirsch, that feisty little devil, taking on Chris Statlander, and these girls can work. I mean, decently worked match. Layla Hirsch is a good heel. Layla Hirsch ends up getting the pin on Statlander after hitting her in the head with a spare turnbuckle that they kept underneath the ring. So I think they went a little overkill on the weapon usage there, giving her a 16-inch solid piece of steel. I'm using air quotes here. I'm sure it was gimmicked.
Gorilla Monsoon style. That was at least 16 foot and weighed 182 pounds, and he smashed her skull. And that was a weird weapon to give. At least it would be something you may find under the ring, opposed to finding kendo sticks that are placed under the ring.
That's true. You make a very valid point there, Brian.
So at least you got that going for it. It is a weird situation to have. Why they got to make... I guess they really want to put over that she's going heel. So you got to get the weapons and win dirty, if you will. So, yeah, these are two good workers. I haven't personally bought all the way into this Layla Hirsch yet. I just got a little bit, maybe something else. But Chris Statlander, she's good. She's kooky and best friendy AEW. But if you strip that away, I think she's got potential there. But
she's still a little green, but yeah, she's leaps and bounds ahead of Jade Cargill.
Which is
as far as like smoothness, working wise, that type of shit.
Smooth operator. And then didn't we have a six-man tag, whatever it was, after that?
Not right after that. Right after that, we had Kenny Omega's music hit, and
that's right.
Excalibur losing his mind, and instead of Kenny Omega, we get Don Callis, and you just hear with pure emotion coming out of Excalibur, God damn it. So poor Excalibur stuck with blue balls. He does not get to excrete his excrement by seeing Kenny Omega come on the screen. He had to watch Don Callis cut a sick promo.
Well, Don Callis can talk. He can talk the talk for sure. He's a guy that if you're going to have somebody be a mouthpiece, this is it. And Kenny can use that. Kenny can talk for sound bites. Left to his own devices, he's going to left sounding like a kook. So with a guy like Don Callis steering the ship, Kenny throws in his sound bites, life is good. So they're teasing that he's still coming back on the heel side of things.
Right.
With Don Callis coming out. Then Don Callis still throwing around the words the Elite by stating that the Elite are going to be champions tonight, as that Adam Cole was going to win the title, and that's just, they haven't even spoke of the Elite and being a faction in what? Since Kenny left?
Yeah, I would say so.
So it's like, what is to come back and come with that is just either lazy or they're setting us up for a swerve. Meaning that he's going to come back, and when he comes back, he's going to be babyface Kenny.
Babyface to the moon.
That's what I'm thinking. But we'll go from there. So yeah, you get a little chatter from Mr. Don Callis himself.
Yeah. Then we had Hook taking on QT Marshall, and this was actually the first time I've seen Hook perform, Brian. I haven't watched his Rampage matches or YouTube matches or whatever, but man, Hook is the truth. That guy can work his ass off. He's so smart. He's so smooth, and he's so concise.
Just the whole package just rounded up there in one tiny little Hook ball. But what do you think he's going to be?
Is AEW's Braun Breaker. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, that's your good.
I think so.
There you go, Eric, making out the call there that Hook is going to be the guy. He is going to come up through the system and be the guy. Now, what I am happy they're doing with Hook is they're not getting too excited with Hook. We're not having a Dominic Mysterio moment here.
Right.
Where they're saying, this is Taz's son, and he wants to be a wrestler. Zoom! Slap him on Taz's back and shoot him off to the limits. So, they are giving him his time. He's opening up pay-per-views, which is maybe he's just getting a little time, a little YouTube time, a little free time. You're still touching there. At least he's getting time. He's never on Dynamite. He hasn't even been on Dynamite standing in the back with his wacky hairdo, pretending like with his arms crossed, like in behind Taz, right? In the Team Taz gimmick.
Seen that in months.
So, with all that being said, I think they're treating him right. I think they're building him appropriately. And if he has all the skills, he can hone them in on the free shows, on the pre-matches, on the warm-up matches, on the dark matches, all of that stuff. So I think they're handling him just perfectly.
Yeah, the one criticism I have of Hook here is his ring gear. His baggy shorts make him look even skinnier than he is. He already needs to put some muscle on, put some meat on his bones, but I don't know, his baggy gear there just makes him look even smaller. He's probably the size of a Sammy Guevara, maybe maybe even a little bit bigger. Good, just get the regular panties on, man. Panties and boots, and just make him look sleek and muscular.
Sure.
Not like a kid walking around in his dad's boxer shorts.
Yeah, he needs something a little more tailored to him. Just even if he wants to go with that boxers, like now you got me thinking boxer shorts like he's wearing his dad's underpants. But like if he wants to go out wearing like in that boxer type gear and go with that look, it just needs to be a little more tailored to him. Maybe kickboxer style or something like that, MMA, just to fit you, board shorts, if you will, than something that's so big and huge.
And yeah, Hook ends up winning with the red rum. No surprise there. QT, one of Hook's trainers. So, just a case of the teacher going out there and making his student look good.
Yeah, which is weird. Those guys that are the teachers that everybody puts over is so weird to me. Like QT, like he sucks. I could care less to see him wrestle. It's not that he wrestles bad. It's just that I have no connection to him. But for some reason, he's a great trainer. Same thing with like Hugh Morris or Steven Regal. Like all these guys that never got over in the business but became the coaches of the back that everybody falls in love with, right? It's just weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, just like in the NFL, you're not going to see Bill Belichick. I don't think he has a lustrous NFL career, but on the sidelines, that guy kills it.
Right. There you go.
Then we had our 6-man tag here. We had House of Black, that being Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Murphy taking on Pac, Penta, and Eric Redbeard.
Any word of Eric Redbeard being signed and coming into the company now?
Still no, still nothing. So I think he's just popping in here and there for a quick pay date.
Which is weird, and they didn't even really push that, or at least push it into anything that I've seen and noticed in my world across social media or TV of any kind. That like, hey, remember him? he was friends with Brody Lee, and here he is, and he's coming back to AEW for revenge of nothing. It was just, hey, we need a date filled. You want to come on in?
Yeah, pretty much that's how it looked. What I took from this match was Buddy Matthews and Penta have amazing chemistry together. They worked fantastic, great chemistry. Buddy Matthews looks great, and I think AEW is the perfect place for Buddy Matthews because he actually looks like he has size on him here. In WWE, look like freaking one of the mini wrestlers, one of the minis that they put on for as a sideshow. But here he looks big. He's super athletic and super strong. And with Buddy Matthews, House of Black ends up taking this thing.
Yeah, I just think this match was properly placed. I actually didn't realize that it like after I watched the show, and then I was like, did I miss that match? Did I doze off? Did I get like change the channel? Like what happened? And then I realized like, oh, that was on the pre-match. Go back, check it out, etc. But it was where it needed to be. This was a good one to start to draw you into a pay-per-view on a free basis, right? As you throwing that hook out there into the water, trying to get somebody to order it last minute that hasn't bought it yet. This would be something you could work with. This whole Penta, what's he calling himself now?
Penta Oscuro.
Yeah, like this dude need to stick with a name for a minute. I understand it switched from Pentagon because AAA was like, nah, we own that. We're keeping that. And then he switched to Penta El Cerro, and then now it's the whatever you just said. Like, it's too soon, and it's been too long. If he's going to pull this out and be this character, to me, it needs to be like a Finn Balor or the way they were working the Fiend there for a minute in WWE. So it just needs to be something a little more sporadic, not every single time. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I hope he sticks with Penta Oscuro, just Penta Dark. He dresses in all black. I think if he can just stick with that gimmick, I think he's good to go.
Sure, just stick with one and stay there. Like if you're just gonna be it, then be it. But don't go back now. It gets goddamn confusing. But that was your pre-show. What'd you think about the AEW pre-show? Did they hook you in? You never watched the pre-show.
I don't know, Brian, because I had already watched the main pay-per-view, and so yeah, after watching that, the pre-show was kind of a dud. But I just wanted to see what Hook had up his sleeve, and just touching on one more Penta bit. As long as he's not Penta El Jokero and keeps wearing that stupid ass purple and green Joker gimmick that he has.
Yeah.
I hope he burned that thing by now. He's worn it 338 times.
Anytime I see the Joker gimmick and him and like it's a Wednesday Dynamite and Penta's got that on, I go, oh boy, Eric will be so happy to see that.
Ugh. Now it's just, Bryan Danielson, I'm sure he's worn red panties more than one time, but that's not something that sticks out as much as a purple full body suit with a deck of cards on the back of it.
No, because you never got mad when Penta wore just this black gimmick, the black and white standard one that he had always become his thing. Like Hogan wore yellow, like Penta wore black, like it just was what it was. And then when he pulls out these random ones like Rey Mysterio, you can try and pull that gimmick and do these like they got to be like one-offs.
Yeah, that's one-time use, baby.
Yeah, so. But Penta sticking with the all black now, and hopefully we stick there for a while. No Penta El Jokero.
And we are going to hop right into the main show here. We got AEW Revolution, Sunday, March 6th. And immediately, Brian, right off the bat, our boy JR coming in hot, forgetting where the fuck they are.
He did, and then he kicked it over to Tony Schiavone to fill in the blanks, and Tony saved his ass.
Tony, where are we?
We're in Orlando.
And then we start off hot. We got this grudge match. We've got Chris Jericho taking on Eddie Kingston. And there's a lot of respect on the line here. Chris Jericho promising that if Eddie Kingston beats him, he will have all his respect and he will extend his hand and shake Eddie's hand, and they will be pure colleagues, maybe even more.
Maybe even best friends. They can give a hug and give the people what they want. First thing I noticed about this pay-per-view was the overabundance of DraftKings logos. Did anybody?
Oh my goodness. And how much JR loves DraftKings. You know, Tony, I love DraftKings. Oh, shut up. Unless you've got a gambling addiction. We know your old ass doesn't know how to work the DraftKings app, JR.
Yeah, man, they had the backdrop behind the commentators. DraftKings it up. They had the barricade. They had DraftKings on the mat. They had DraftKings everywhere, and they were all in with it. I know WWE gets in bed with DraftKings, but man, AEW gave them a sweet deal by putting that everywhere. Anywhere there was a camera shot, they were DraftKings. I'm surprised Excrement didn't have some DraftKings leg drops or something.
And we got a good shot of DraftKings logo here when Eddie Kingston starts things off and drops Jericho right on his dome at the beginning of this. Eddie Kingston just a little too excited starting off this match.
Yeah, that almost looked like a little bit of a that was a shoot. That was looked like he had to take a minute to shake a stinger off, because otherwise it was just bad all around, because like Jericho is down. He gets hit, he's down, and Eddie's not allowed to go in for the pin. Now, in what form of professional wrestling do you knock your opponent down and your referee holds you off from going in for a pin? Like, get away from him. He fell on the ground. So I think they really had to take a moment for that.
Yeah, and after that, the crowd's chanting Eddie, and Jericho just he's got to stay in his heel gimmick. Even though they were just singing his theme song 2 minutes ago,
Yeah.
he's giving the middle finger to the crowd. Screw you guys.
Screw you.
See, was it GYF or whatever?
GYF.
Or GFY.
GFY.
Yeah.
Andrew pops in the chat again and says Jericho took that Madcap Moss bump on his dome piece.
Got it. His neck isn't as strong as Madcap, so Jericho pretty lucky to come out of that.
Yeah, the crowd was split, like, pretty good for a little bit, where it was like, and then Jericho just kind of kept working him, right, and trying to get him to go all, like, I'm a heel, Eddie Kingston's the babyface. Because you had some Let's Go Eddies, Let's Go Jericho stuff in the beginning, and then it was all about fuck him up, Eddie, fuck him up.
Yeah. And then Excalibur, not wasting any time getting under my skin here. You can't do a damn body slam without some sort of Japanese reference coming out. We got a quick palm strike from Chris Jericho to Eddie Kingston's face here, and just Excrement immediately chimes in. Chris Jericho channeling Tenryu. Shortly after that, Eddie Kingston has Chris Jericho in the corner, and he's just giving him some rapid-fire chops there to the chest. Kingston is channeling Hashirashitoshi. It's like, shut the fuck up, Excalibur. Like, these guys, let's talk kayfabe for a minute. They're in a fight. Do you think Kingston's like, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to channel Hashirashitoshi. Let me channel him Dragon Ball Z style and chop, 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 chop. If anything, he was channeling the quick chop guy.
Yeah. Slap chop. He's going to bite a hooker's face.
I could see Eddie biting a hooker's face.
Yeah, he definitely could have went more on the side of, like, the inspiration. You can tell that Jericho followed in his time in Japan, showing signs of, from his mentor, But you could have used anything like that, but he's channeling the energy from, like, back it down. This ain't a seance. It's a wrestling match. His inspirations for his wrestling style may have come from this. He may have been watching old matches, and you know what I'm saying? But there's a different way to say it and not sound like a complete buffoon.
It just shows how much of a basement dwelling nerd Excalibur is. It's just, the point is, not every move has to be pointed out as this move was inspired by this Japanese guy 38 years ago. I don't care about Tenryu. Do you care about Tenryu? You might care about him more than I do.
No.
But when Chris Jericho does a quick, meaningless move like a palm strike, I don't need a 10-minute reading of the Wikipedia page of Tenryu there. I don't care, Excalibur.
So the next time somebody goes for the old school eye poke where the bonk, it's like, he's channeling Curly from the Three Stooges.
Exactly. He's a huge Three Stooges fan, I tell you, JR.
He loved a good shemp.
And oh man, do you remember, Brian? And near the beginning of AEW, you had Rick Knox. He's a complete pushover. He's in the Young Bucks back pocket. You got Paul Turner.
Sure.
Paul Turner's a complete douchebag, weakling, spineless chimpanzee. But Ref Aubrey was the one we could depend on.
Sure.
She had balls, Brian.
Even Cornette liked Aubrey for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Corny loved Aubrey. She's the only one who keeps order in that ring. Chris Jericho at one point, right in front of Ref Aubrey, just casually untying the turnbuckle and peeling the pad off. Ref Aubrey don't give zero fucks. Old Earl Hebner would have been on the ground grabbing that pad and trying to put it back on until Jericho ripped it out of his hands and threw it in the audience or something.
At least get in the middle of it. Like, it's supposed to be... What they forget is that you have to get to an end point. So at the end of this moment, we need the turnbuckle pad off. We need it off for the spot we want to do. This is the way we're going to do it. Well, the referee wouldn't allow that. How would you get away with it? Well, let's work our way backwards here. The ref would try to get it back on. Jericho does this, distracts him again, knocks it down. This happens, that happens. But they just go, we need the turnbuckle pad off. Okay, go ahead and take it off.
Yep. And I'll just stand here with my hands in my pockets.
Okay, that's your spot. Go for it. Like, that's the dumb spot that they think that they always screw up a lot in AEW.
And then I just kind of took in a synopsis of this match here to cover up Jericho's and Eddie Kingston's shortcomings of limited limberness here. This match is pretty much just a mix of brawling and fairly simple wrestling moves done well because they know their limits, Kingston and Jericho.
Oh, for sure. I even stated it here in my notes and said last week they're going to have to do one of two things. Eddie Kingston's going to have to step up the wrestling, the technical wrestling, and hang with Jericho to his level. I'm saying Jericho is a 10 out of 10 technical wrestler. I'm just saying he's been around the block. Now, or they're going to have to bring it down where Jericho goes into the brawling. Clearly, they took the easier route and went brawling style. And they did okay with it. They worked okay with it. I mean, it really brought up what Eddie Kingston is and showed and shined and polished his light, right? Shine the light on him because you're doing all his style.
Right, yeah. And speaking of Eddie Kingston, he's innovative. He finds new ways to sell things, like when Jericho suplexed Kingston off of the apron right to the floor. Eddie, not selling his back, not grabbing his kidneys, none of the above. He's grabbing his chest after taking a flat back bump onto the floor. And that really makes you think. Like, that really kind of shines up the work there, because you're like, wait a minute. If this was a work, he'd be grabbing his back. This boy's grabbing his chest. Maybe he really is hurt. It really sells it to you.
That whole knock the wind out of me, just like you just grab your chest and can't breathe. You take a good old bump on the back and blow the air out of your lungs. That sucks.
And excrement here. He went ahead and picked a body part on Eddie Kingston. So usually, you got a heel, you got a baby face. It's clear. There's a clear line drawn, and that heel's usually working a body part. And excrement, he couldn't really seem to pick a body part, so he just seemingly pulled one out of a hat here. He picked Eddie Kingston's left orbital bone that Kingston was going to talk about all match. To the point where Jericho hits 3 German suplexes and then a lion salt for a near fall. Jericho was a little bit off on that lion salt.
Yeah, he's dropping shin bones on faces.
So Jericho botched the lion salt, came down with his leg on Eddie Kingston's face. Excrement. Johnny on the spot covering for Jericho here. When he came off on that lion spot or on that lion salt, he was clearly aiming his knees at Eddie Kingston's orbital bone. Really?
And again,
The fucking lion salt that he's been doing for 30 years. He was aiming his knees at Eddie Kingston's orbital bone.
And again, you can just go with the coincidence of a wild lion salt caught Eddie Kingston wrong. Unfortunately, he has been damaged on his face. His orbital bone has been a bother for him. You could tell the same story and make a little more sense.
Yeah, to try and say Jericho is, he had to do a backflip off the middle rope to hit Eddie in the face.
Yeah. Right.
Jericho's chest, because a lot of chops have been flying around in this
Oh.
brawl here.
Looked like Hangaburger.
Oh, it looked like a goddamn cranberry field. Man, his chest was red. Kingston hit 2 Saito suplexes and a spinning back fist and almost got a fall there. Eddie Kingston attempts a Northern Lights bomb and he can't get it. And excrement, man, he just can't let sleeping dogs lie. Eddie Kingston, he's not just trying to win this match. Eddie Kingston is trying to invoke Kensuke Suzuki with that Northern Lights, Brian. That's what Eddie was like. You know what? You know I can win this match. I'm going to invoke Kensuke Suzuki in this.
Yes.
I fucking hate Excalibur. Like,
almost 100 episodes, Eric, and I think we could clip that out about every single one of them.
I wish they'd send old Sockface to fucking Russia. Let him commentate wrestling in Moscow.
God bless. Send him over there. The only thing that I was getting here is that at one point in here, Eddie drops his shoulder straps there.
Orbital bone?
His orbital bone. Drops his shoulder straps on his singlet. And I wouldn't necessarily throw myself into being one of, everybody in professional wrestling has to be jacked and tan. Hogan must pose style thinking of professional wrestling. But Kingston needs to rethink his ring gear.
Yeah.
Listen, you can wear the cargo pants, in the combat boot style, but like the singlet underneath and then dropping the strap down, and then you just look like a dude. I mean, I still think he could, I would still put Kingston that I would believe he could shoot fight.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't want to fight Eddie Kingston. I'd rather fight Jericho than Kingston.
Right, like you're at a bar, you're at whatever, and a dude like Eddie wants to go, you're like, glee. I don't care what shape you're in. This guy's going to take the hit and then hit you back twice. But he just looks silly, and he needs to rethink his ring gear. Like, it just needs to be more streetwear style, I think, would fit Eddie so much better. I think I've said that about goddamn every show, too.
Yeah, I think so. And Eddie just has that. Eddie plays to the male 40 and over audience, because every dad out there, once he hits the age 45, 50, even if he's in great shape, 9 out of 10 dads have skinny little legs and a skinny upper body, but they got that round gut, and then they like to wear tank tops. And that's what Eddie Kingston looks like with those straps on his shoulders. He looks like my dad out there drinking a Miller Lite and grilling wieners over the fucking Kingsford coals.
Andy pops in the chat again, says Kingston needs that gear Keith Lee was put in by Vince. Dude looked like he was about to give birth. Andy wants to put him in a tennis skirt.
Yeah, that way that he can pop Mae Young's hand right out of the bottom of the skirt there.
Yeah, but that was my only. It's just a weird thing to pick apart there, but it doesn't fit who Eddie is in his promos. Eddie in his promos has got his New York hat, like top, like high bill, like that bill sits like a rooster's bill. Like, I mean, he wears that bill straight up or backwards, and then he's got his Tim's on and sweatpants and like a 2X hoodie. You know, he looks New York for real. But when he comes out to wrestle, for some reason, he's in combat boots and very militant style like pants and then a singlet that he can't keep his straps on that doesn't, complement his physique.
Right. Now, Brian, remember a few minutes ago, we had to pull that turnbuckle off. It was very deliberate by Chris Jericho to get that turnbuckle pad off. And this is the payoff. The payoff is Chris Jericho hitting a couple code breakers here, getting a near fall, and then Jericho missing a Judas effect and hitting his elbow on the exposed turnbuckle. He didn't even attempt to smack Eddie's face on this exposed turnbuckle throughout the entire match. The only thing we got out of the exposed turnbuckle that Jericho took the pad off was so he could miss a Judas effect and hit his funny bone.
Not so funny, is it?
And then, Kingston takes advantage of that, hits a spinning back fist, goes into a stretch plum, and old Chris Jericho taps out right in the middle of the ring.
That was a weird submission move. The stretch plum.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. I'm going to be honest with you. I just wrote stretch plum because they said it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and it was a weird thing, and I was trying to figure out how it kind of hurt and the overselling of it and the underselling of it, and just stick with it. I think you need to go with something else, but I didn't care for that so much. But yes, Eddie Kingston with the win in the tap out, and then he plays dumb and forgets that he doesn't realize that he actually won, and he's like, I won, and the passion just overtook him so much he didn't know what to do with himself. He couldn't believe that he won, and then it was time. And then it was time for the handshake. I beat you, Chris. Shake my hand. And this was a good old AEW no microphone promo because Justin Roberts will not, and I mean will not, hand over his microphone for somebody to cut a promo in the ring. I don't care how dapper of a yapper he is. He ain't sharing his microphone. This is COVID times, people. And Eddie Kingston clearly doesn't wear a mask. So, I hate when they do this and then they're just screaming in the ring. Like, the guy in the third row can hear you. Anything past that, nobody knows what's happening vocally-wise. They have to put the story together visually. And if you're doing a shitty job of that, relying on your vocals, people are lost all around. So, yeah, he's screaming for him to shake his hand and blah, blah, blah. And what happens, Eric? Chris says, no, thank you. I ain't shaking your hand, fool.
I can't do it.
Cannot do it. Will not shake your hand. And that's how that ends, really turning the heel side of Jericho coming back out. It's time for Jericho to go heel again. Is all it is just what they're leading towards.
That's all it is. And then my last note on this thing, because you kind of made me think about it with the goddamn stretch plum, how you and I, neither one of us knew anything about the stretch plum. Right there, Excalibur, is where we could have used some sort of reference to what the hell the move was. But instead...
And what it was targeting.
Instead, Brian, after Eddie Kingston gets the win, Excrement is still selling the orbital bone. Oh, look at his orbital bone.
Orbital bone. It was
here.
It was almost like an inside joke. Like they all put a body part inside of like a hat, and they all got to grab one out before. And you're like, you got to say orbital bone. It's like the meow from Super Troopers.
That's That's what it seemed like. It was bad. Next on the list here, we got our AEW tag titles on the line in a three-way match, Brian. We
Yeah.
got Red Dragon, the Young Bucks, and Jurassic Express, the champions themselves.
And don't forget, if the Young Bucks are in there, guess who's the referee of this son of a bitch? Rick Knox is your referee, with a crying, laughing emoji in my notes.
Of course. Wouldn't expect anything less.
Right off the rip in this match, the rules are not explained. I don't know how it works. There's 3 tag teams. Can I tag anybody? Can the Bucks tag anybody? Can Red Dragon tag anybody? Is a 1 pin, does that team eliminate it, or is it 1 pin and you win? This was just 3 tag teams, 6 men get into a ring, and they start a match with no real explanation. Obviously, they said, you're going to be the winner. This is how we wrote it. That's the winner. Get there somehow. But it wasn't explained in the beginning. Now, eventually it comes out to play, and you figure it out as a, half-brained human watching professional wrestling and go, okay, well, they're tagging anybody. Okay, I got that. And then they started to say, you'd make sure you want to keep your team in the ring so you can win this thing. So, nonetheless, it was a 1-pin win. Anybody can tag anybody style match.
Just chaos. And we're starting this thing off with Kyle O'Reilly and Jungle Boy. And that was a good way to start this thing off, man. Really good pace, super athletic. And it seemed like Jungle Boy, of all people, as young as he is, as green as he is, was the lube that kept this thing moving. Whoever was in the ring with Jungle Boy, that was a good sequence. The pace was good. The moves were good. Things seem to go really well when Jungle Boy is in the ring.
Yeah, for sure. Andy pops in the chat again and says, why, if you're in the ring, tagged in, if you're in the ring working, why would you tag out and tag in from another member of the third team? Like, why would you go to that team? Right? And now your team isn't in there at all.
And risk losing the match.
And that would have been a good way to run this, is that they kept one team out for a good angle, right? They're not letting it in. They're not letting the champions in. This is turned into Red Dragon versus Young Bucks, and they never let Lucha Express in.
Yeah, Dino Douche has to do a backslap or something to end up getting in the ring.
Sure, steal it. So, interesting way that they could have went. That's not how they went. They just went with, like, hey, I'll tag you and put you in the ring, so that way you can win and my team can't. Seems silly goose.
That way you can get your shit in. Old Luchasaurus, been listening to the Jim Cornette podcast here, because Luchasaurus was actually working like a big man in this match, Brian. Luchasaurus is the giantest, biggest, bulkiest luchador I've ever seen. He's 6'8" and 280 pounds, but he wants to be Rey Mysterio so bad.
He does, and he does decent with it, with what he can do as a big man. It doesn't need to be his forth-running style, though. It doesn't need to be in the foreground. It needs to be in the background. He needs to be a big man who can do this, not a big man who does this. Do you get what I'm saying? The difference there? That's what it just needs to be his little pieces where it's like, God dang, he can still do a big backflip, standing, shooting star press. That's pretty cool, but still choke slam people and powerbomb the shit out of them. That's what you do as a big guy.
Yeah, his tope suicidas and whatnot and moonsaults need to accent what he does. But as you see, Luchasaurus looked a lot better when he was focusing on doing big man shit with all these little shits in the ring with him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he looked double enormous compared to, everybody in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. We get some storytelling here with Red Dragon and Young Bucks. They went into this thing with an agreement, apparently, that wasn't really ironed out. That was another thing we had to figure out throughout the match. Apparently, they had an agreement that the only stipulation of that was that one of those two teams had to win.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a solid agreement to go out into a match with. Oh, just one of us has to win. But yeah, we see some tension building because they're breaking up each other's pin attempts. So maybe they should have figured that out before the match.
It would have made more sense because that theory never makes sense, even in professional wrestling where you can suspend your disbelief. It would have made more sense to say, again, they should have made it an elimination style, or let's not let that team in, but we have to fight each other, but you can't, make sure you don't tag them, and that would have made that make more sense. That way it's coming home with us. The best of us wins. We're keeping Lucha Express out.
Right.
Or if there was an elimination style where it was like, we need to get them out of there first, and then we'll go after each other. And that would have told a good story, too.
That would have been the best way to do this if it was but then that would be a letdown if the champions got eliminated first and we're just left with Red Dragon and Young Bucks. Then the champions don't have a chance to win.
Sure. It also can tell a great story, too. The other way of doing that elimination style is that, one of the other ones screws up and gets the Bucks eliminated. When it was Red Dragon's the one that gets the Bucks eliminated, so the Lucha Express can eliminate them, and that tells a good story that those two can go head-to-head now and be mad at each other later on, starting up on Wednesday. So they could have done this a little better. It was a little weird booking, but it was very AEW. Here's the match, six-man tagger, three-way tag match, and this is the winner, and go figure it out in the ring.
Right. AEW doing some experimenting with the sound here. Apparently they got the corner mic'd up there. And Bobby Fish's corner, of all corners that have mic'd up, and Bobby Fish, just a natural shit talker, just talking shit throughout this. I was paying attention because I wanted to hear what he said. At one point, Bobby Fish motions towards the ring where Jungle Boy is in, and he says to Luchasaurus, "Is he an idiot?" To which Luchasaurus thinks Bobby Fish is talking about him and says, "I have a master's degree, asshole." And Bobby says, "I was talking about him. Are you even paying attention?" And I just, little Easter egg there. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be heard on the audience or if it was just them goofing around with each other, but I loved it either way.
I have a master's degree, you idiot.
Yeah, that's what we need from our luchador dinosaur is to hear that he has a master's degree.
Don't forget he's 65 billion years old, Eric.
Yeah. He probably has at least 3,000 or 4,000 master's degrees.
Oh, at least. Where are we at in this match here? There was one spot, and I don't know where we're at in the spots going down here, but there was a spot where Luchasaurus was getting ready to do one of his big dives on the outside of the ring. They had it look like it was going to go down, and then everybody started running, and then you got Jungle Boy hitting him with a dive from out of nowhere. I almost think that the AEW people have been listening to the KayFabe Smark podcast, saying you got to hit the dive's got to be from out of nowhere. So I didn't mind that catch me spot, that dive from Jungle Boy into the group, into a big group of 4 out there or whatever it was, because you didn't see that coming. They all got wise that the big giant, luchador, Luchasaurus was going to jump on him. So Jungle Boy did it instead from out of nowhere. I actually like that spot.
Yeah, that's what I had on here. That was after Luchasaurus was being a big guy there. He wanted to top things off with a tope, and the Bucks and Red Dragon were like, nope. We're not going to take that. But yeah, just like you said, perfect timing on that one. They teased us with the Luchasaurus tope, and then just camera wasn't anywhere on him until he flew in from the side of the screen.
Sure.
Old Jungle Boy hit all 4 members there.
Right. I like that spot.
We get a lot of hot tags in this thing. They seem to be doing, AEW seems to be doing a lot better with hot tags. Luchasaurus in there and just murdering everybody and ending with a standing moonsault off the apron onto Red Dragon. And just like we said earlier, using his athletic luchador style to accent his character. And I didn't mind that moonsault because it wasn't the goal of Luchasaurus. Was just trying to get backflips in all night. It was just like he pops one in here or there.
Right. I agree.
this right here, and we kind of slide right back into natural AEW territory here. Nick Jackson hits a Canadian destroyer on Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus immediately gets up after a Canadian destroyer, choke slams all four of the heels, the Young Bucks and Red Dragon, and then Jungle Boy hits a Doomsday device on Matt Jackson and gets a 2 count. So yeah, Canadian Destroyer did nothing but energize Luchasaurus there, filled up his power meter.
Filled him up. That's what you get. I mean, he's 65 billion years old. You take one on the dome piece like that and a Canadian destroyer, and he should have gave him the Rancho Cucamonga destroyer, and then it would have made more sense.
Yeah. Red Dragon and Young Bucks going at it eventually after being able to stay apart for most of the match, and that's good storytelling. That's good wrestling. I liked this championship match better without the champions in it. Red Dragon and Young Bucks, I love just seeing them go at it.
Yeah, they really complement each other's styles very well because, I mean, they're both very, very similar, and then so that it doesn't look too out of place when those big diving springboardy moves come in. It just fits into the flow of what they're doing.
Right. And then it's high spot heaven right here, Brian. We had pretty good wrestling for the majority of this match, but at one point Kyle O'Reilly gets Luchasaurus in a guillotine choke. Jungle Boy ends up shooting star presses onto Kylo to break up that submission move right there. A little over the top, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Your buddy's getting choked out, and you need to do a shooting star press to break that up. And Luchasaurus going for a pin after that shooting star press, and one of the Young Bucks, I'm not sure which one of the Jacksons it was, just follows right there in Jungle Boy's footsteps and has to do a 540 splash to break up the pin, not just a kick or anything like that. He has to do a 540 splash off the top rope.
Gotta get it. I mean, if you don't get the 540 splash, you're not going to break up a dinosaur's pin attempt. Let's be honest.
Right.
It ain't happening.
You gotta get that extra momentum spinning in the air.
Yeah. The Young Bucks and Red Dragon start to fall apart as these tags they're breaking up each other's pins. They're not tagging each other. They're skipping tags. They're tagging them out and tagging in, and et cetera and so on. And Red Dragon don't give a shit. And the Bucks are throwing a little hissy fit as this rolls on. So that was the one thing I noticed, and it made the Bucks really look like babies. And I'm a Young Bucks guy,
right.
But it made the Bucks look like babies, and made the Red Dragon look like the kids on the block that don't give a fuck, and they're gonna win at no cost to anybody. We're here to win. If you win, what does that do for us? And that made sense.
Exactly. They're in there to fuck shit up, and then the Jackson boys just this is the heel route they chose, was the crybaby chicken shits. So yeah, whatever. God bless you. But Jungle Boy ends up getting tagged in. Matt Jackson is in the middle of a hissy fit here, and he has the AEW tag belt. He tosses it over to Kyle O'Reilly here. Kylo bashes Jungle Boy with the belt, gets a 2 count. So in all of our years of watching wrestling, Brian, probably between the both of us, we've got 70 years of wrestling watching experience here. And every time somebody gets smashed in the face with a belt, it's a wrap on that. That would have been the logical ending point on this thing. But nope, we just keep it rolling. So we did a whole belt spot for nothing. Red Dragon hits the high-low, but Luchasaurus breaks up the pin here. This spot right here is a little convoluted, a little complicated, but I still enjoyed it. This is where the Young Bucks hand Jungle Boy to Kyle O'Reilly, and Kylo has Jungle Boy in a tombstone position. The Young Bucks kick Kylo's knees out from underneath of him, causing Kylo to tombstone Jungle Boy here. Then we get stereo super kicks on Kylo, an Escalera dive onto Luchasaurus on the outside of the ring, BTE trigger on Jungle Boy, and then Kylo breaks up the pin. So yeah, super complicated, super overdone, but that was a moment where I could actually just enjoy the goofiness for a second, Brian. Those opportunities are pretty rare in my world.
For me, it was great. I didn't mind. I liked it, but I thought that they pulled it off well. It was very sketchy to go with that. Like, if this goes wrong at any moment, this whole thing's falling apart and looking like trash. But
Right.
all the pieces, all the pistons were firing on all cylinders, and you hit it off, and it worked out pretty well for you. This thing is needed to go home about 10 minutes ago, right? Because we're going through this. Like, this match kind of went on a touch long for me. I don't know what you thought.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing. Just going through the notes, I'm like, holy hell, when are we going to get to the end of this thing here? Dushasaurus, like I said, he's been working like a big man all match, but he has to get a catch me spot in, Brian.
Oh,
He
of
is
course.
Mr. Get My Shit in himself. And so we just get a contrived spot put together just so Dushasaurus can get his catch me spot. And then Jurassic Express hits I couldn't tell if they said the move was called the Jurassic Express or the Thoracic Express. Did you catch what their finishing?
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, so they hit the Thoracic Express, I guess, on Nick Buck, and that's the pin, and that's the win. The Jungle Express keeps their titles.
Jungle Express keeps the championship, and we are pushing that. Red Dragon and Red Dragon and the Young Bucks are going to hate each other, and who's going to go for that title? So we move on. Do we go backstage, Eric?
If we did, I didn't take notes on it.
I always miss those, and that's the theme of the show. But we move right into the face of the, what do we call this here? Face of the Revolution ladder match.
That is correct. And in this match, we have Keith Lee, Willie Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow.
I mean, you're batting 1,000 so far, right?
So far, Christian Cage brings
Okay.
the batting average down a little bit. And then Orange Cassidy. What the fuck? One of these things is not like the other.
You know what? You can
One
throw
of these
Christian in
things
there.
Just doesn't belong.
You can throw Christian in there knowing he's not going to win, but why I will accept Christian being in there, he can be a great ring general. He can be a great ring general for a ladder match. Clearly been in a handful of them, right? Made a few famous. Made the ladder matches so famous they got a goddamn pay-per-view named after the ladder match, the tables, ladders, and chairs match that they put on, right?
Right.
He can probably lead these guys through these things. So I'll accept that. Orange, well, he's a pet project, and he gets to get put in where Daddy says he can go play.
that is the perfect analogy. Daddy, can I go in there and play with the big boys?
Yeah,
And,
like even Ricky not being big, you can buy him being in the match. But I liked it that it was such big guys in there to start it off with. But where are we at with this thing? How did it start off? What did you like?
Fairly early in the match here, Brian, we're having a moment. We are having a pause in the action to let us absorb the fact that we have the three monsters of this match, Keith Lee, Willie Hobbs, and Wardlow, just in the ring, only them staring each other down. And then the village idiot, Orange Cassidy, gets right into the middle and has to turn this into a comedy spot.
Try to turn it into a comedy spot. And then he
fake kicks everyone here. So everybody gets fake kicks and then dodges attacks to get Keith Lee, Wardlow, and Hobbs tied up so that he can climb up the three large men like he's playing King of the Mountain here.
And reach for the title, or the brass ring. Like he's going to grab it. Instead of using a ladder, he's going to use the big guys. He's going to climb up Keith Lee's shoulders and stand up there and get it. Then Keith Lee's going to stand steady and still while he unhooks a big, giant hemorrhoid donut that you can to move forward in this match. Yeah, that was just a wacky, standard AEW way to start. He had to come in and get his shit in.
Yeah, it's just like, no, real wrestling fans had a serious moment there. And then the Reddit folks, the internet wrestling community was talking about it, and they're like, "You just don't get Orange Cassidy, man. The kicks are a taunt," and it's like, "Oh
That
no, I get it, I
I,
get it, but somebody needs to knock his fucking block off when he's taunting them."
I think that's what it was originated as, and I bought it in the beginning, and I liked it in the beginning. But it doesn't give you anything else. Like, imagine somebody who can really show off and fight doing something like that. And then you get them like, okay, like now I'll kick your ass. But you don't ever feel that from Orange Cassidy. You just feel he never turns it in from I don't care to like he never hulks up. Right?
Right.
If they could build that into the gimmick where he hulked up so good and he would go into these fights and he could throw fists and like he'd get bloody, but he would go from I don't care to I overcare, like this like one way or the other too extreme, then it could be interesting. But it's just always that whatever, surfer orange, that Jamaican California surfer, whatever, dude. Like it never turns into the opposite end of that, where he cares so much and he's so passionate.
Yeah, it's just so you try and take it out of the comedy world for a moment. If you try and live in a world where Orange Cassidy's not doing comedy spots, he's acting like you would in real life. You're going to get in the middle of a 260-pound Wardlow, a 300-pound Willie Hobbs, and a 350-pound Keith Lee, and you're going to taunt all three of these guys. That's how you get murdered. You're not that cool and that like whatever, man, where you can taunt 1,500 pounds of men in the middle of the ring.
No, I agree with you on that. And I think really after that spot gets over with, Orange Cassidy's spot in this match was exactly what it needed to be. It was him getting thrown around like an idiot. He was like the ragdoll bump of this match, it seemed like to me.
Yeah, he does get a couple more comedy spots here. At one point, we got Orange Cassidy just climbing the ladder with his hands in his pockets.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's...
I was talking more mid to end of the match is where he needed to be. They let him get his goofiness in the beginning.
But it's just... It's a clown with a squirty flower on his lapel. It's just kind of like, all right, we've seen it before.
Right.
Like, what is so entertaining about you climbing the ladder with your hands in your pockets? How is that cool anymore?
Look, we're gonna like if you see a magician pull a rabbit out of his hat, you're telling me you're not impressed still to this day that a magician can pull a rabbit out of his hat?
Ugh. So yeah, I loved seeing Keith Lee using Orange Cassidy as a weapon. He basically just used him as a bat, and he's swinging him around at people.
At one point, I don't know where it is, but I just see it in my notes here. Keith Lee throws the shit out of Orange Cassidy and essentially tries to throw him into a catch me spot and overthrows him. And from what I understand, he's actually injured.
Yeah, we're going to get to that here in just a moment because we still have more Orange Cassidy spots, Brian. Brian, this match, let's take a step back here. This match was supposed to be face of the revolution. You got your three monsters. This whole match focused on Orange Cassidy's goofiness, whether you had the cheerleader climb, you had the ladder climbing with his hands in his pockets. At one point, Cassidy's got the ladder on his neck, and he's just spinning in circles in the middle of the ring while random people just run into the ladder.
It's exactly
and take bumps.
I said Orange Cassidy spinning the ladder around his head, or it's on his shoulders, was so stupid it made no sense, and guys were having to run into it so it looked like something was happening. Like that's all it was.
Another Orange Cassidy ladder spot that made zero sense whatsoever, just to lead out of that one. Keith Lee and Wardlow are fighting over the ladder here. It's folded up. It's horizontal. And they lift the ladder in the air so that Orange Cassidy can do a skin the cat move, essentially, and stand on the bridged ladder. And even with Orange Cassidy standing on the bridged ladder, reaching for the golden donut, Wardlow and Keith Lee continue to hold the ladder in the air for him.
Right.
Why is Keith Lee participating in this? Wardlow this is all he's been exposed to.
Sure.
He's as far as being in big time wrestling, he's only been in AEW, but why would Keith Lee even agree to this? Besides the fact that I guess he's only been in the company a couple weeks.
That's what I'm guessing. He's been in the company a couple weeks and he doesn't know what else to do.
Cassidy eventually crotches himself on that spot there. And we see Willie Hobbs chucking Orange Cassidy against the ladder to squash Keith Lee here. Willie Hobbs superplexing Orange Cassidy off of the lean ladder. And this is where I'm starting to enjoy Cassidy's role in this match. We see a pretty cool spot. Ricky Starks diving through a setup ladder to spear Christian. Let's see, we got all 6 guys on 2 ladders at one point. 4 of them just kind of seemingly fall off the ladders, having Wardlow and Hobbs left on top. They both fall off. Then we get a rewind back to the 3 monsters facing off. And Orange Cassidy is right in the middle again, Brian. Deja goddamn vu. I'm gonna bash my head into a wall if I have to see another comedy spot here. But lo and behold, the wrestling gods are on my side on this one. Keith Lee picks up Orange Cassidy and spear chucks him out of the fucking ring. And Christian and Ricky Starks were supposed to catch old Orange Cassidy here, but Orange Cassidy went right over their heads.
He
landed on his shoulder, and just like you said before, he's legit injured from that fall.
Yeah, they threw that son of a bitch. Keith Lee launched him out of the ring. I don't know if Orange Cassidy jumped with it too much or if he did, whatever. If Keith Lee just a monster and just whipped him across the room, but that was pretty intense.
We get Willie Hobbs and Wardlow ripping a ladder in half, and Keith Lee and Willie Hobbs on the stage facing off. Wardlow shoves them both off of the stage, Lee and Hobbs, and putting them through 2 tables. That's a wrap on those guys.
Yeah, you could really see the writing on the wall at that point. Like when they were fighting in front of JR and he's like, "You got to get out of here." And you're like, "Where's Wardlow? He's going to come." The camera's like squared up so the doorway to the commentary area is in the center. Like it was all perfect. I go, "Oh, these guys are getting hammered off the stage by Wardlow." And then once they did, you could really see the writing on the wall that we were starting to come home.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we needed to start going at this point. JR giving me the douche pimples throughout this whole thing with his whole Ricky Starks.
Oh, yeah.
Because Taz is on commentary with him, JR just keeps going, "You mean Ricky Starks? Ricky Starks."
Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it. Taz doesn't say his R's. He's from Long Island or whatever. Like, we're Brooklyn. Like, let it go.
Jeez, oh, Pete's JR, calm down. He was a cranky old bastard throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
At one point, Danhausen makes an appearance, puts a curse on Wardlow and Ricky Starks, and runs off.
Danhausen has the best spot in professional wrestling. He hides under a ring. He paints his face. He sells merchandise. And by doing all of this, he gets to come out in professional wrestling and go, "Ooh," and be goofy and never take a bump.
Yeah, definitely. He's the backup punter for a football team, essentially.
God bless. Figure out how to get his shit in and have fun and never get hurt.
It's time to wrap this thing up here. Wardlow powerbombs Christian. This was impressive. Just straight up box jumps onto a setup ladder here, about 5 feet vertical on this point. Power bombs Ricky Starks onto the ladder. Ricky Starks, thank God he put his hands behind his head because we'd be celebrating, or yeah, we'd have a celebration of life episode of Dynamite if he didn't protect
Yeah.
his neck on that one. And then after that power bomb on Starks, Wardlow climbs the ladder and rightfully so grabs the golden donut.
Yeah, he was the one. Last week we had talked about that he was high up there. We could see a Keith Lee winning, but Wardlow definitely saw that as again a big shot there. And no surprise, Wardlow, he's your face of the revolution. He's gonna get a TNT Championship match.
Yeah, and he will get to fight the winner of Wednesday Night Dynamite's match between Sammy Guevara and
Scorpio.
Scorpio Sky.
Yes, sir. And it is Thursday night. It is 11 o'clock. He gets to fight Scorpio Sky.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
We get a little break in the action here so that Tony Schiavone can lose his mind for a contract signing of none other than Swerve Strickland.
Yes.
And I like Swerve's energy on this thing, though.
Well,
he comes in excited.
Not only was Tony Schiavone excited about this guy coming out, not only did Tony Schiavone have a clipboard in his hand, Tony Schiavone held that clipboard clearly in front of the camera 3 to 7 times, and you could read the word Swerve. Contract for Swerve was the front page. I read it and went, well, that's probably Swerve Scott coming out here, or whatever he will be called in his new life. And there he was. But yes, Swerve's energy was pretty cool. Whose house? Swerve, it was very slow talking. It was very different than your old school, yeah, let me tell you something, brother. It was very Jake the Snakey kind of slowed down, cool, calm, and mellow, right?
Yeah, and there was a difference between Swerve Strickland and Isaiah Swerve Scott that we saw over in NXT. They at one point I had to pause this and Google Swerve Strickland because I was like, wait a minute. Like, this doesn't seem like the guy. When you and I were watching NXT on a regular basis, Swerve Strickland was in NXT and he was nothing like this Swerve Strickland.
Right. Yeah, 100%. This is what with MLW, I think, is what made him famous with this gimmick, and I like this version.
Yeah, I definitely prefer this Swerve over Isaiah Swerve Scott. So yeah, we'll see what he has to offer. But
there you go.
Yeah, that's all. We shall see.
We shall see. Came out, signed a contract, and that was a wrap.
And now,
excuse me,
we got another title match coming up here, Brian. It is TBS That Bitch Show title match between Jade Cargill and Tay Conti.
Yeah. Let's just, call this one what it was.
Yeah, that's about Cargill starts the match by kissing Tay right on the lips. I think this is the first time she broke out this move right here, to which we find out she calls the kiss of death here. So she's going to start making out with every bitch she gets in the ring with.
Yeah. The best was, too, in the intro when Jade comes out and JR goes, she looks like some kind of superhero. And he goes, and then excrement or a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah. Just had to go ahead and put that out there because JR is a little out of touch on the Jade outfit from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was... But this match, Tay Conti comes out, -1, and what's the other chick's name they came out with there? Gave her a hug? I forget. But -1 gives her like a handshake, and they've got some... They were like in the Crips or something. I don't know that handshake they had going on. They were locking up fingers, and I was out gangbanging with that. But to go out and wish her luck, and Anna J,
yeah,
-1 and Anna J come out and wish her luck. And sorry, I'd love to see Tay Conti win that match and move forward. But we all just saw the writing on the wall with this. This was gonna go out and be Tay Conti's job was to sell for Jade. And make it look like she knew what she was doing.
And Tay Conti did what she could do with what she had to work with. And Jade Cargill threw a lot of pump kicks And that just must have been what QT Marshall's been teaching her lately is how to throw a kick.
Yeah,
Because that was about the cleanest move Jade Cargill could pull off in this entire thing.
that was it. It was just trying to show off her power and show off Jade and build her to be bigger and stronger than she is and better than she is. And that's all Tay was. And she was allowed to get a little offense in. It was like a 70-30 split I had noted down here between the two. Jade got 70% of the moves in, and Tay was allowed to do about 30%. And then other than that, it was sell for Jade.
And we actually got a nice pile driver on Jade Cargill from Tay Conti here. And it was kind of cool to see that because Tay Conti's way smaller than Jade Cargill, so I don't know if I would necessarily trust somebody so small to pile drive somebody so big. But the ending of this match was about as flat as a plate full of piss here. Jade Cargill just kind of inadvertently causes Tay Conti to hit her head on the corner camera. And Tay Conti's a little dazed here. Jade Cargill hits the Jaded for the win and retains her TBS title.
Just like Excrement says, nobody gets up from the Jaded.
He's a fucking mark. Next, we have our dog collar match, Brian. And this was the excitement of the night right here. I love this match.
Yeah, this is the one that brought you to the show. This is the one you came for. This is the one. The rest of it, if anything else happened, that was wonderful. But this is what brought you to the show.
CM Punk's music hits. It's Mussolini
and Kennedy.
It's Mr. Personality, but it's not CM Punk that comes out. It's MJF.
Yes, playing mind games, because playing mind games with the crowd changes how CM Punk acts, but who knows?
Yeah, MJF coming out, throws his gum directly at somebody in the crowd. I like that moment right there.
Just straight up like
pitched that hunk of gum.
Oh yeah, just straight up old school. That was like a Roddy Piper style move, if you ask me. Just like, fuck that bitch in the front row. You're getting gum in your hair.
Yeah, whipped it out. And then CM Punk's actual music hits here, and it's different music and a different entrance video here for Punk.
Yeah.
And this is where Excrement did his job.
Right.
Because as a casual fan, as someone who's never really watched Ring of Honor and doesn't really know Punk's pre-WWE career, I was a little lost. But Excrement explains that this is CM Punk's theme, Miseria Cantare by AFI. And this was he's bringing back the old school. He's got the old school attire, the old school entrance, the old school music. And CM Punk is just bringing back the Ring of Honor style.
Yeah, the version that brought him to the dance, the person that MJF fell in love with, right? This is the playing mind games of his own. I think also it came into convenience that Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor a couple days prior to this and got his hands on some music that was licensed appropriately.
Right. But yeah, let's see here. MJF keeps trying to leave the ring, doing his chicken shit heel gimmick that he's gotten oh so good at, and Punk just keeps yanking him back in by that damn dog chain.
Yeah, this one went so good. Like the ups and downs were so good that it just was like who was in control and who wasn't, and you were believing those moments. So in the beginning, CM Punk is in control, and then it goes to MJF, and then CM Punk, and whoever was leading the dance, you were like, this makes sense. This makes sense why they are fighting, and that's why I like this match so much.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. MJF powerbombing Punk at one point and just straight up whipping Punk with the chain. And this wasn't work whips. This was straight up whipping shit. And you could see the imprint of the chain. Every link that hit CM Punk's back was imprinted right there on his skin.
Yeah, I believe that they went out and said, hey, let's work where we can and if it has to be real, it has to be real, and we just got to get, this has to look at the best it can look. So if it's hot, it's hot, and if it's not, let's not do it. So they had to do great moves, whether it was going to hurt the other guy or not.
Right. And but we do see later on when it comes time for Punk to whip MJF with the chain, working shots all day.
Well, yeah.
And I was a little disappointed with that because Punk should have really laid it in at least once or twice on Max here.
Yeah, Max was doing some selling of it where he had that big like cat arched where he like arched his back in a whole lot, sticking his belly out on he was on all fours, and his back was like drooped way down so he could try to absorb the chain, when he was getting whipped with it. It was definitely, they were working together on that, but like I said, I still did. There wasn't much wrong with this match at all. If you want an overall shotgun blast of the match, it was not bad at all. This is what brought me into the pay-per-view, and I give it all thumbs up.
Yeah, 1,000%. These two, their chemistry is just spot on at this point. Punk he knows how to pinpoint and focus on one spot on somebody in a heel fashion, but Punk's obviously the baby face here. And the main part I'm talking about right here is where Punk is just knee dropping MJF's hand.
Right.
Knee dropping the chain right onto MJF's hand. And that's just something original that you're not really going to see happen in a lot of matches. Punk knows how to bring out something a little unique.
And old school, where you've picked a body part and that body part represents a finishing move. So if you're going to take out something in, CM Punk, you might take out his knees so he can't give you the go to sleep, right? You might take out his arms so he can't give you the anaconda vice or whatever it's called in AEW. So it was great. He started hitting that hand where MJF can't throw that punch. He can't put that dynamite diamond ring on his hand and throw that punch, and that's what he's been known for. Or he can't get you in the salt of the earth because his hand hurts and he can't grip you in the finishing move. Those are all things that he would be known for, to use that hand, so it made sense. It didn't look like he picked his ankle.
Right, right. Yeah, something very precise. We see MJF reversing a GTS into a sleeper, and this gets Punk all hulked up here. MJF countering another GTS and getting the salt of the earth on Punk here. And at this point, Punk is already bleeding like a stuck pig.
Right.
The blood in this match was just beautiful. It just accented it so well.
Yeah, a lot of times you could say you don't need the blood, but this one you needed the blood, and this one made sense, especially with the way that it was done. It was so overdone that it was great, that it needed to be way over the top and not just a straight up like a little splat or a little baby cut that goes away. This was blood and Punk wearing white shorts. Like, I mean, it was the blood was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I apologize, folks, but I have to step away for just a moment, and I will be right back. So yeah, I've got my headphones on, Brian. Please continue to analyze, and I'll be right back.
So yes, once again, MJF, CM Punk going head to head in this dog collar match. And man, I don't know. I really like this one a lot. While Eric's gone, make sure you guys hop on over to all of the social media outlets. That is Instagram, the KayFabe Smark, TikTok, the KayFabe Smark, YouTube, the KayFabe Smark. Make sure you guys smash the like button, hit the notification bell. You can hang out when we go live. We usually do this on Thursday nights is when we try to get it in. But if something is scheduled or thrown off, well, what are you going to do? We might pop in on a Friday. We might pop in on a Sunday. Hell, sometimes it might even be Saturday. But this is the KayFabe Smark podcast. We are breaking down and talking about AEW's Revolution. And, we got somebody popping in the chat here. This was absolutely a match that needed blood. AEW often just does blood to do it. This one required it. Not only did it require it, Andrew, they required it, they used it, and they did it right. Like, they hit a home run on this one. AEW sometimes falls apart on this stuff, and all of that being done was just perfect. So I think they did the blood right. I think they did the use of the chain right, because the chain ended up, Eric, joining us back here, was not necessarily like the focus of the match. You forgot it was on at times. At least I did.
Yeah.
Like, and that was cool because when it came back, you go, oh shit. There's a chain wrapped around these sons of bitches, like keeping them together. So it always wasn't necessarily the focus that they were dog-collared together. It always wasn't the focus that was a weapon. And I think they just utilized all the pieces together and told a great story.
Yeah, the chain was an accent. When it popped in, it was important, though. Like at one point, Punk's got the chain wrapped around his knee and he hits a shiny wizard on the MJF here. And shortly after that, Punk still got the chain wrapped on his knee and throws a wild knee right into the steel steps. And then that Punk selling his knee becomes a huge part of this match wrapping up.
Yeah, for sure. And we're already at the bringing this home here? Were we at the last couple spots?
Yes, we are here.
Break
Punk
it down.
reversing a tombstone from MJF and turning that into his own tombstone pile driver right onto the hardest part of the ring.
Yes,
Brian,
right on the apron.
The ring apron.
I mean, that is the hardest part. They, I think they really just need to sell that more. That is the hardest part of the ring, damn it.
Punk misses an elbow drop, and he's selling his ass off there because old Maxwell has to take this match up a notch, Brian. He has to take it over the top as in true AEW fashion, and MJF goes ahead and grabs a black velvet bag, Brian, and we know only one thing can be in a black velvet bag.
Only one thing is in a black velvet bag, and that is stainless steel shiny to offset off that black velvet bag, thumbtacks.
Yes, we get thumbtacks dumped into the ring just to take this thing up a notch. Punk getting superplexed, and wait. Whoa, my notes are off here. I got Punk superplexing Punk into the thumbtacks. Either way, it was off. He didn't land directly into the thumbtacks.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was no real good thumbtack spot. They were used, but they weren't like overdone, or they weren't. It wasn't Mick Foley style thumbtack spot.
Yeah, we didn't get a Superman cape, as you will, of thumbtacks in the back here. MJF screams for Wardlow at this point. He needs his bodyguard. He needs that dynamite ring to pull this win off here. Wardlow, freshly off his win in the ladder match here, comes down in a fresh press suit, and Wardlow can't find the ring, Brian. He can't find the ring to give to his master here, MJF.
Yeah, he looked like a silly goose by not being able to find that ring. I felt bad for Wardlow out there. But as soon as MJF was on the other side of the ring and not feeling so good because he fell into some thumbtacks, Wardlow found that ring and set it there and looked at CM Punk and walked away.
Yeah, Punk, while MJF was distracted there, Punk hit a GTS on him. And, yeah, just like you said, Wardlow magically remembers where he put the ring, sets it very nicely in the ring, and just walks away. MJF spits right in CM Punk's face, and that's just the perfect spot.
Just a
perfect
dirty
setting.
Shithead heel to the very last moment.
Yeah. And that was the nail in MJF's coffin, was spitting in Punk's face here. We get a right hand from Punk with the diamond ring, and it's a 1-2-3. CM Punk takes this match. And the referee immediately takes the dog collar off of MJF here. And I believe the ref's going to attempt to take the collar off of Punk. But Punk just knows the psychology.
I need this.
Do not take this collar off of me.
Nope.
I need it.
He needs it on. He needs it for the pictures. He needs it for the still shots. He needs it for He needs it for social media. He needs it for TikTok, whatever it happens to be. He needs that on. So I don't know. I think he goes into work for himself here and just pulls out a Bruiser Brody style and just starts swinging the fucking chain around. Like,
Yeah.
get away from me. Stop trying to take this off and let me celebrate this moment where I won this match, losing half the blood in my body all over this ring and all over myself and MJF by getting beat with this chain and dog collar. So this needs to be on, and he needs to hold it and keep it on, and it was perfect.
Yep. Couldn't have did it better. MJF was the only guy. I'm sorry. MJF and CM Punk are the only two people in this company I think that could make this dog collar match this good.
Yeah. And then there's a little subliminal messages there from Punk, as we've been saying something he needs to do is go for some main titles. And at one point he was up on the middle ropes, like yelling at the crowd and trying to get them hyped up and getting them singing along to Cult of Personality. And he's doing the old school across the waist, like, calling for the belt, right? Putting his hands, doing the championship, calling for a strap, and not sure which one he was calling that he's going to go chasing for, but it appears that CM Punk will be on a title hunt soon, so that's good to see.
Yeah.
Even if it's TNT, I'm fine with it. He just needs to be doing something in a title shot.
Yeah, he needs to be at the top of the card with top talent. And MJF's top of the line right here, but there's nothing truly at stake. It's just an amazing storyline with enough realness to the story to
Sure.
make it absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's time for Punk to, instead of putting over young talent, it's time for him to kind of forge his own path here in AEW.
100%.
We move on to a title match here, Brian. Speaking of top of the line here, we've got Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. These poor girls, they got the worst spot.
They
These two, Britt's great. Thunder Rosa's good. I don't necessarily buy her shit, but right, she's good wrestler and she's a good worker, and she's coming into her own character in AEW. I know this isn't some fresh new thing that this was created. Thunder Rosa was a well-known professional wrestler before her AEW stuff, but she's coming to her own and working this style and this character so well on AEW TV. But they got to follow that. Those guys, those knuckleheads, MJF and CM Punk, had to have been pushing 20 minutes. And
yeah,
in that match and beating the hell out of each other with a dog collar, then you get these two ladies that got to come in and fight now. Talk about a cool down spot.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, both of these ladies quite talented, and they put on a solid match, but just the energy wasn't there because we just spent it all on CM Punk and MJF
100.
here. But the match was solid. They had smooth transitions throughout their moves, realistic emotions from both Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, and they did what they could. And then towards the end, this thing just kind of starts falling apart because, yes, we know Britt Baker's the heel, and we know that when heels have managers, the managers get involved and they pull some sneaky shit. But oh my God, Jamie Hayter and Rebel just going way overboard on the manager cheating here. And JR even points it out. And good old JR, man. He no filter JR is what they're starting to call him now. He just straight up calls him out and just there's way too much cheating going on in this shit.
Yeah. And that was almost that was Jim Ross calling it out. You know what I'm saying? Not JR the character. That was Jim Ross the man was like, this is stupid. What are we doing here?
And JR, he was just in a mood at that point. At one point he just says, "Boy, I'd really love to see a Tiger Driver 98 right now. Show me one, Excalibur."
Yeah, he was sick of Excalibur's shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whoa. Did you lose me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I guess we're going through computer speakers today.
Headphones die.
Headphones died. Um, let's see. So here we got Rosa hitting a suplex and holds Baker in it, and Ross is roll it over. You have to get 3.
Yeah, JR just was done with this. He didn't care about it at all, and it didn't help this match at all. This match needed a little love from the commentaries for TV.
Yeah, anytime you see a German suplex in AEW, there's going to be 3 of them, and they're going to be like, oh my God, he's summoning Eddie Guerrero from the grave.
He's summoning and channeling Eddie. Eddie. Yeah,
So, yeah,
get over
Ross calling that out right there. You got to get 3 of them. Let's see. We get a couple clunky reversals on tombstones here. Rosa finally hits her tombstone, but Rebel is distracting Paul Turner. Just more cheating going on.
Bullshit.
And then this right here, this was the logical ending moment because it's another belt spot, Brian. And this time it's Britt Baker curb stomping Thunder Rosa onto the belt. And what kind of match does not end on that one, especially with women here?
Sure. Yeah, like so, anybody getting their face stomped into a championship title belt, like probably going to be done. No,
right,
but not so much.
No, not these 115-pound women. They can get their head stomped into a solid gold belt. No problem whatsoever. We're going to go ahead and kick out on a 2 count. We got Rosa putting in a half straight jacket here, and Britt Baker's tapping out, Brian. She's ready to go, but Rebel's distracting Paul Turner.
Of course.
Again.
Turner's a moron. But I was done. Like, I was emotionally spent in this match, and I had nothing left to invest in it. No matter what was after that MJF match in CM Punk was not going to be good.
Yeah, and Rosa finally takes out Rebel and Hater, but yeah, to an already flat match, we're going into an even flatter finish here. Like I said, the curb stomp onto the belt should have been to the end of this match, but instead we get more Rebel distracting Paul Turner, Rosa beating up Rebel and Hater, and then just a Britt Baker curb stomp for a flat 1-2-3 finish.
That's it.
Kind of like, okay. Why not end that on an exciting point? Why did we have to just piss all over the ending of this match?
Gotta piss all over it. Yeah,
and,
it sucked.
Yeah, it was just it's a shame because they're both talented.
Yeah, it just came together terribly.
Whoever was the agent on that match just did a terrible job, and then it was just in a really bad spot.
100%.
We move in to Jon Moxley taking on Bryan Danielson here, and we all know what's behind this match. Danielson wants to team up with Mox, and he wants to teach all these young guys all about violence. Moxley says he can't team up with somebody until he bleeds with them first, and that's how we ended up here, Brian. Moxley and Danielson, Revolution.
Yeah, this is what... Yeah, you couldn't have put this following CM Punk and MJF. You needed that something to cool down with. And unfortunately, it was those ladies that got put in that spot. So this was a good spot for this match. But, again, these AEW pay-per-views, man, are packed so hard. Like, I give them shit sometimes for doing bad booking. And a lot of times their pay-per-views are overbooked. Like this thing, we've had a ladder match. We've had a dog collar match. We've had CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. We've had, it's been a good pay-per-view so far. I'm not mad at any of it, really.
Right.
The ladies got put in a bad spot, and then by them messing up, it really takes you out of it, right? So if they could have, been in any other spot, you'd have been like, well, it didn't finish as hot, but it was a good match. But overall, it felt like trash because you just came off of that MJF high. So but now we got to go into this match, and there's still a championship match to go.
Yeah, they pack way too much in, and he's got a ginormous roster, and a lot of these people, the guys and gals, they deserve to be on this pay-per-view.
Sure.
I get it, but oh my God, it is just packed way too tight.
100%. So let's bust through this here. What happened? Where are we at this? What the hell? God dang it! The John Moxley and Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, we're actually starting this thing off with a lot of chain wrestling and reversals going on here. A lot of taunting going on between these two, and then we go into more of a Moxley style with the strikes. Let's see here. People say corny, can't stop living in the past, but I think Excalibur's got it worse than Jim Cornette here, because every move one of these guys does
Oh boy, yeah, it was related to something, right?
had to be an homage to one of the wrestlers Excalibur used to beat off to when he was watching his VHS tapes in the basement. Just like, oh my God, it's an homage to Dynamite Kid. It's an homage to Sarah Suzuki. It's an homage to Tiger Mask. It's an homage to Liger Dick. Like,
Yeah.
everything was a fucking homage. We got Bryan Danielson trying to invoke both Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid in the same breath.
Yeah, again, just like we said last time, you gotta. It's a inspired by. Tell the story of how you saw that they were inspired. When my time's talking with Danielson, he was inspired by the Dynamite Kid. You can see these shades of them coming out. Shades of the Dynamite Kid, not the channeling the energy of him.
He's invoking them, Brian.
Yes, don't invoke me.
We get a big right hand from Bryan Danielson on the outside, and we got Moxley just staggering like a stunned Mortal Kombat character here. And we just get camera work. Priceless right here. John Moxley staggering, and we just get a great view of him reaching right into his left wristband, pulling out a blade, and then we just get this weird, like, drone view of the entire arena. You can't see Moxley, you can't see Danielson, and then when we come back, well, lo and behold, John Moxley's got a face full of blood.
Right. Yeah, like, oh, he got cut somehow, right, when the camera decided to go on the Stridex pad blimp that's floating around from the 1997 In Your House camera. Yeah, like, that was just there was no reason for that blood. We go back to that blood in MJF and CM Punk was needed. This blood, not needed. Even though they said they needed to bleed together, that was not the time nor the place for this blood.
And the camera angle, just the atrociousness of it. You got just a perfect view of him pulling his blade out, and then we just have to show the audience, like, oh, yeah, we can't. Yeah, don't want to see him.
Don't look over here.
We get a slew of submissions and reversals between these two, and Danielson finally gets to kick Mox's head in and gets the triangle sleeper on. Moxley somersaults forward. Danielson's shoulders are down for the pin. And this was just another flat, ugly finish here.
Yeah, I thought there was more to this match that was, like, sold to me than, like, really where they took this thing. But overall, did you think this match was good, bad? Like, where were you at on it? I just think it was hyped up so much it was hard to go anywhere is the problem I saw with it.
Yeah, it's hard to put on a match with these two just because Danielson is such a technical masterpiece, any match that he puts on, and then Moxley just wants to brawl. So I think Danielson brought the best out of Moxley and made him look as good as he possibly could. But yeah, I just wasn't really into it. It was a decent match.
Sure.
But I wouldn't say it was a Dave Meltzer 7-star classic.
Oh, I'm sure Dave Meltzer just exploded over this match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure it was worth 19 stars out of a 4-star system. It was just bananas on what it was worth to them. But maybe it just, again, part of it I think is just I was getting tired because where they put this stuff.
Yeah, and the ending doesn't help, Brian. Moxley is like 6-7 inches taller than Bryan Danielson.
Sure.
Oh, bulkier, bigger. Why does he need to sneak a win over Bryan Danielson here? It just doesn't make sense. So that's why that ending just fell so flat. It's like, oh my God, Moxley managed to sneak a win in over Danielson.
Yeah. I mean, Danielson's been dominating everybody, so maybe they're sticking with that, but I don't know. I just, again, what they had sold us and where they were at, and then they couldn't stop beating each other up after the pin and everything, and after the match is over.
Yeah, it was just kind of overdone. Danielson's pissed, and security is trying to break them two up from fighting. And then little sneaky William Regal just comes right down next to the ramp, and nobody even realizes he's there until he's almost in the ring.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me that we saw him. I kind of called it a little bit last week by just saying that, man, do you think they're going to give Ring of Honor to somebody to run like a William Regal since he has nothing to do now? And son of a bitch, there he showed up. And didn't really say much was the or didn't say anything. They didn't give him a microphone. They didn't do anything. He didn't say, I'm here because of this. You just, AEW hates, using microphones and rings. It's just not what you do. You just tell a story with your actions and your face.
Yeah, we're a bunch of mimes now in AEW.
So he made him shake hands, and he made him, he played the father figure, but at least the commentators were doing somewhat of a job telling that story about how he was the mentor to both of these guys, and he's here to make sure, this isn't how you do this, and this isn't the sportsmanship between the two, and blah, 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 blah. So,
yeah, and we see Regal slapping the living shit out of both guys.
yeah,
here.
he didn't pull nothing on him. He threw them both some potatoes. Said, if we're going to do this and make it look real, here it is, boys.
Yeah, so what we get out of this one, Regal snaps them back into reality, makes them realize what they should be doing, and then on the following episode of Dynamite, we get to see Danielson and Moxley teaming up with Regal in their corner. So that's definitely a devastating trio.
Yeah.
To start off.
I don't know if I like them being a tag team, but if they can work them doing tag team and still doing single stuff, I think it'll be okay. But if they just focus all on tag team, it's going to be I'm kind of disappointed. But if they can make them be a mini faction type thing with just the two of them or the three of them being led by William Regal, I think you could do something okay still.
Yeah, I would prefer them in more of a faction than a tag team necessarily.
Sure.
Kind of like for the Inner Circle, like a Jericho and Hager, where once in a while they work together, but they're not a tag team.
I can buy that. I'll roll with that.
And then we move into a tornado trio match here, meaning that nobody has to tag anybody, and it's just going to be 6 guys in there.
I forgot about this piece of shit. I forgot all about this match. You just said it, and I was like, oh, my God, I thought we were going to talk about the main event here, and son of a bitch, we got this thing in front of us still.
Oh, yeah, because we had to get some weird funeral montage of, I don't know, we're in somebody's backyard in a farm, and...
Well, clearly this is a Darby Allin original here.
We're reading Darby Allin's eulogy, it seems like, and then he's just in a car, and he flies out of nowhere and crashes his car into a Winnebago that's just chilling on the lawn there.
And then Sting shows up
with a flamethrower and just starts burning the funeral down.
In full face paint.
This was fucking strange. This was like a college art project, art film that nobody's supposed to understand.
Yeah, you gotta be, it's just not meant for you, man. You gotta listen to it, man. Some coffee house bullshit.
Let's see here. So we got, shit, I lost track of my notes here. All right, so we got Sting, Darby, and Sammy taking on Andrade, Isaiah Cassidy, and was it Matt Hardy here? My notes kind of got screwed up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, it all slipped my mind. Sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know. My notes, I had Andrade, Isaiah Cassidy, and Andrade. So yeah, he's pulling double duty in my book. Darby rushes the ring, and it's just everybody brawling on the outside. The baby faces immediately go after the heel manager Jose for whatever reason. I guess just because he's annoying. And we get this goofy spot. We're back to the comedy. Back to the comedy spots here because Darby Allin and Sting end up sitting Jose down in a chair and putting a garbage can over his head. That way Darby can do a tope suicida and take out Jose. What's the fucking point, Brian, besides just getting your goofy spot in?
Got to get the goofy spots in. And this was just, I don't know if they do these. I don't know why they do these. There's too much going on. You've got 6 guys spread apart all over the arena at some points of these matches. And then they're not in the ring, and then so people at the show can't see what's going on. I've been to this when they're doing these things live, and you're like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know where anybody is. Somebody is getting, a 1% of the audience is getting an amazing show, right?
Right.
And if you happen to be lucky, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened in professional wrestling that you've gone to see live. If not, you don't know what's happening. As for being at home, sure, you can see what's going on, but there's only so much camera space on your TV. If they're doing, multi-cam shots, if they're back and forth, they're jumping from here to there, you just really don't know what's happening.
And that's exactly what's happening, is not knowing what's happening because it's just pure chaos and unnecessary, dangerous high spots. For some reason, this is supposed to be 3-on-3 tornado match, but Mark Quinn is now in the match. I understand being on the outside and interfering here and there, but he's just straight up in the match now.
Yeah.
Butcher and Blade are now in the match. There's no sneakiness. There's nothing. It's just like, nope, we're in the match now too.
We're in. You're in. Tag me in. Don't even tag me in. I'm here, damn it.
Isaiah Cassidy is on top of the Revolution set here. And this is we switched to this camera angle without any lead in or build up or anything. It's just Orange Cassidy on top of the Revolution sign, Sammy Guevara laying on a table, and Mark Quinn just kind of standing there.
Did you say Orange Cassidy?
I meant Isaiah Cassidy.
Yeah, I knew it. I just was letting.
By the looks of this spot, it should have been Orange Cassidy. Sammy just gets up off the table and kicks Mark Quinn. And now Isaiah Cassidy is just waiting for Sammy Guevara to climb up the sign. They spend about a minute or two just holding each other until Sammy can get his wits together, because Brian, we have a 12-foot sign here.
We got to jump
We
off
have to do a Spanish fly off of it through a table and onto a hard-ass fucking stage.
Of course.
That's the only thing that would make this a good
only
match.
Logical thing. I mean, he's 22 years old. He wants to stop wrestling by the time he's 27.
Yeah, he really is trying to invoke Dynamite Kid here and have both of his legs amputated.
Yeah, why not?
And this Spanish fly, man, Guevara lands right on Isaiah Cassidy. The table doesn't break. The table just completely flattens out, and we just get a hard,
thud,
flat 12-foot bump onto a solid ramp.
Right.
And man, they will never learn their lesson. They're not going to learn their lesson until they're paralyzed.
Until somebody dies. Somebody will die. Somebody will be tragically injured. Then they'll be like, okay, let's change these spots.
Then we go from that. So we led into that spot with no buildup or anything. It's just like, oh, look, Isaiah Cassidy's up there and Sammy's on a table. Now we switch camera angles, and it's just Butcher and the Blade, who aren't even in this match.
Sure.
Actually, they're building a table pyramid, Brian.
Well, that's why they're in the match.
No.
They're getting paid union wages, so they're all right.
The reasoning for anything in this match doesn't make sense. Besides the fact that a spot is going to happen.
That's it.
what would be the reason for Butcher and Blade to build a pyramid out of tables?
Somebody's going through it.
It's annoying as all get out. We got the pyramid table or the table pyramid set up here, and we got more brawling going on with 86-year-old Sting beating up both the Butcher and the Blade.
Well, of course, that's believable.
Yeah. Especially after Butcher lost weight and muscled up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sting's still no problem just whooping the shit out of him. Matt Hardy and Sting are just fighting up, just fighting and walking, and look exactly where they end up, Brian. They end up right above the table pyramid.
Sure.
Who could have figured that one out?
Why wouldn't they? I mean, they're just gonna. I mean, somebody has to jump through this thing, Eric. It was built. Then they paid Butcher and the Blade great money to build that table.
And I say it again at the risk of sounding like a broken record here. There is no reason for any of this to happen.
No.
The next thing right here, we got Andrade and Darby. They're fighting for some reason. Andrade just decides to lay on top of the table pyramid.
Yes. Now Andy sent me a text message and he says, "Did you see that Sting spot, the table spot that everybody's going nuts over?" I said, "Yeah, it seemed pretty unnecessary." He goes, "Not only did it seem unnecessary," he goes, "What do you say here?" It was, I believe, it was Andrade, and he goes, "He literally just decides to lay down and take a nap on that spot, so you can see it happen." He goes, "What does he say here?" He goes, "Andrade is like, yo necesito uno siesta."
I need a nap, pretty much.
An unnecessary nap.
So, exactly. So here we go. So Butcher and the Blade build the table pyramid for no reason. Sting and Hardy fight up to the spot right above the table for no reason. Andrade decides to just lay down on the table for no reason. The only answer to all these things is so the spot can happen.
That's it. He didn't even get punched and get knocked out to lay down. Like, the sumbitch just got bored and sat down to get into position. Like, right. We have a play here, people. We have a play. Everybody to your spots. This is scene 2, act 3. Like,
it's precisely the way it was laid out. And these fans that are just eating this thing up. Well, I guess we'll get through the spot here. Andrade lays down on the table pyramid, and Sting just decides to splash Andrade through 3 tables. And the fans are just eating this up all over the internet. They love it. And it's just, their minds are so shallow. they don't think beyond just like, oh, cool, Sting jumped through table.
Yeah.
This is good.
Sting old, Sting jumps, Sting go through table.
Yeah, must be perfect. Cheer, cheer, cheer. It's AEW.
He hit all this, not WWE.
Yeah. Hardy hits a twist of fate through a chair on Darby here. Darby reverses it into a scorpion death drop through a setup chair. And here we go. We got Excalibur's just precise, perfect commentating going on right here, because after Darby hits the scorpion death drop, he goes up to the top rope and attempts a coffin drop, Brian, but just completely botches and misses Hardy. And they replayed the botched coffin drop 3 times. And Excrement says, "Oh, the headbutt still connected." Because that's the point of a coffin drop, Excrement. The point of a coffin drop is a fucking headbutt. Kiss my ass.
At least in the defense of this one is like, he had to say something though, right?
I guess so. I guess you got a point there.
He's stuck in that position. Now, a lot of times he can say other stuff, but if they're going to show the replay, he's got to be like, my job is to make this look good in some form or fashion here. Hey, look at that. He connected with a headbutt thing there. Like, so that's the hard part.
Yeah, what a shit show that whole thing was. But yeah, Darby gets the 1, 2, 3 because he hit the headbutt.
Got to hit the headbutt.
And we move on to our main event at this point, Brian. We got the AEW World Championship on the line. Adam Page defending against Adam Cole. Baby.
And again, I'm going to say it again. I was exhausted, and I'm not even talking about the physical exhaustion that we're pushing now after midnight when the main event is coming on. I'm talking like emotional investment. I'm talking mental investment that I've had watching this. This has been a long pay-per-view. They've had a lot of things happen, some good, some bad. All of that come into play. I don't have the time. My brain cannot process a championship match right now. And, on all of that. And then the physical level, like, screw you, guy. I'm tired. It's fucking after midnight. So that sucked. So I thought all of that did this main event no justice.
And we just start off weak. We start off with Adam Page wearing his leather cowboy vest with rainbow streamers on it. He's got his leather cowboy pants with rainbow streamers on those. And it's just like, what are we going for here? It's just, I honestly am clueless I've never seen cowboys, the John Waynes, the Clint Eastwoods. I've never seen them wearing rainbow streamers on their fucking leather outfits. I don't know what Paige is going for right now.
Yeah, not sure either. Not sure at all either. Another thing that was pointed out to me was that the hard camera was set up on the wrong side, and this is something you might not have focused in on. So traditionally, you're watching when they go hard camera that they're coming in on the left side. Well, everybody was coming in on the right side, and Adam Cole got in the ring and getting ready to do his boom, and he's looking the wrong way. He almost missed his hard camera shot for his back point on his boom. His AEW was all over the place on this one. So that kind of was another wacky piece for this.
Yeah, AEW just experimenting with new sound, new camera setups. Let's try not to pick one of the biggest paid events of the year to go ahead and try new shit on.
100%. We got the homie D-Star in the chat popping in. He says, I was kind of let down by the show. It went on too long. I was falling asleep during the last match. Amen, brother. I was dozing off hardcore. I was doing the whole Eric Todd chin in the chest, take a nap during the main event match. And had to I'm not going to lie, I had to fire it up and rewatch it and check the highlights and reread it because the live version of it, my digesting that in the live version, I didn't know what was happening. I wouldn't have had anything on it.
Yeah, and let's get into the meat and potatoes of this match, Brian, because it is our main event, and we were both struggling to watch this thing because it was so damn late and the show was so damn long. And Adam Cole doing his job, selling his ass off for Paige. That's that's the heel thing you got to do to make the champion look fantastic is sell your ass off. We finally get to see Cole take over on offense after Adam Page clotheslines the ring post and enter excrement once more, Brian, because excrement has to use as many words as humanly possible to tell us that Adam Page is right-handed. So you see him use that right arm, and the right arm hit the ring post, and that right arm is the arm that Adam Page utilizes when he does the buckshot lariat clothesline over the top rope when he hits you with his right arm.
Not only is it his right arm, but it's not only his right arm, but it's the right arm that he uses. Not the wrong arm. It's the right arm is his right arm. He used to use his right guard under his armpits before he hits you with his right arm for the buckshot lariat. We get it. We get it. You got a 50-50 shot, and not only did you have a 50-50 shot, because we only got two arms and two hands, that you even got less, as you could have probably said 70-30 is that most of the world's right-handed. So you could... He hurt his right hand. That sucks. I bet you it hurts. I wouldn't want to hurt either hand.
Yeah, he could have just said, "Oh, Page takes the ring post to the arm there. Don't forget he's right-handed. Like, would have just got the point across right there.
Sure.
But this match is not super technical, but great psychology, great back and forth, and great selling. Page and Cole, they've been working together for a long time, and it's obvious here. They have great chemistry together.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Um,
You left me hanging there. I thought you were going with like into more of a thing. You left me hanging with to answer you
Yeah.
back.
Um,
I can't deny you. They were good. Adam Cole is the guy. Adam Page is been given this torch a little early, but he is the uber baby face that the company needed at the moment. That's been was essentially led by heels for a while. So they needed that uber baby face to put the champion on, and they're really polishing and shining up that baby face and working Adam Page to be that guy. And he's doing a good job at it, and I think I stick with that he's the champion early, but, I think they're working good with Adam Cole, and it's all balancing out at the end of the day.
yeah, it is working out. Cole knows how to really put the shine on the uber baby faceness of Adam Page here. Adam Page hitting a brutal power bomb on Adam Cole here on the edge of the apron, followed by a complete whiff of a Arihara moonsault here. Just completely misses Adam Cole, but excrement. Still just having multiple orgasms right there in his tights. I think Page's elbow caught Cole's face.
I think his index finger touched his tip of his nose. Like, who gives a shit?
It's just like, no, he botched it because you fucking idiots do way too much in way too complicated spots for your experience level.
And
It's not that hard to figure out.
and way too fast too. Like, they don't size him up, and it's just not saying like that they're done too too fast. They're just done with no timing and no precision. So it's just let's jump. But why are we jumping?
Right.
Why would you be there? Are you in a position to catch me? And how did you get into that position? So those are all things that are neglected on.
And it's just when you miss so many moves, it's just in your brain, if there was really a risk of you getting hurt, you would stop doing those moves when every time I do a blind backflip
Right.
off the apron and I seem to miss every time, maybe I should stop doing that.
Yeah, let's change it up. Let's do something different.
And Adam Page ends up hitting a sit-down power bomb on Adam Cole here. Excalibur has to call it a Liger bomb. You can't just call it a sit-down power bomb. And JR,
He's had enough of his shit.
still having enough of excrement shit here. Says, what's the difference between a Liger bomb and a power bomb? And that gets us into a long-winded exclamation of a Liger bomb goes down with a seated technique with the ankles over the shoulder for a pinfall. And JR just says, good point.
No sells it.
No sell whatsoever.
D-Star pops into the chat again. He says, "Do you think Cole versus Page for the main event title for the title in the main event is best for the growth of AEW?" I don't know how to answer that. I think that no matter which way you go with that, the company is growing. But is there anybody? I think what we're getting at is there anybody better to put in that position to help the company go? And the answer to that I have is no. Is putting Adam Cole in there is the best thing for it. Now, did they need to put the strap on Adam Cole? I wouldn't have been mad, but I'm an Adam Cole mark. But it helps shine up and really put over that babyface again and really build up who your homegrown guys are and who your guys are in the company. And this is where it's at. Adam Cole doesn't need to be fucking around in the mid card or in the opening. He doesn't need to be curtain jerking. So he's got to be somewhere, right? And put him in that main event spot. So I think it was good. I think it's fine for it. And that's who they're going to put in the forefront. I think you're doing okay with those guys. It wasn't like Orange Cassidy was in there.
Right. It may not be best for growing the company as in bringing in casual fans, because the casual fan, although this was a $50 paid
There
event,
you go.
only actual fans are paying for this. But yeah, if a casual fan saw a main event of a 4-hour show with two of the smallest guys in the company, they'd be like, I don't know. Maybe we'll give WWE another try.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell with that, but like again, you're in that $50 pay-per-view status, so this is what the people wanted.
We see a sweet super kick from Adam Cole here, just super kicking Adam Page right in midair for a near fall, and the precision on that super kick just shows Cole's training and Cole's attention to detail there.
Yes.
He is really crisp and precise and knows exactly what he's doing.
100%. I love Adam Cole. I think he has his shit together. He's really taken a beating on the internet these days by maybe his physique is supposedly dropped, by a bunch of internet wrestling fans are going to judge somebody else's physique so much that it gets a little insulting, a little armchair quarterbacking there. But, yeah, I mean, I'm all in with Adam Cole. I think he's the next guy to hold the championship, or one, not the next guy necessarily right after, but he's in the line to be a guy to hold the championship and make some noise about it. And I think that'll be good for AEW.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cole eventually is going to have that title around his waist. And we're wrapping up towards the end here. Adam Page hitting a dead eye for a near fall. And then immediately after that, hitting a tombstone pile driver. And Salty JR, insert Salty JR again, because he says, when a tombstone pile driver fails to beat your opponent, that's cause for great concern. Basically saying we're taking finishing moves that have laid out the best of the best.
Right.
And now they just mean nothing.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Now, the other thing that I have on the other side of that coin is like, at one point the suplex was a finishing move. Like, so when do they start to change over that they can become just part of the show? Like, at some point, something has to evolve, right?
Right, but how far can we take it? If a devastating looking move like a tombstone doesn't do anything, what do we have to do? Drop them off a 12-foot building?
Touche. So it should still be used to win match. I get it. It's, Paul Orndorff did the pile driver, and now guys take pile drivers. Like, it was just, it's hard to always take that and say that, like, now we can never do those in a casual spot of the match. I think done too much. I agree with the too much, but just being done, But they should also catch a W with it, though. So if you're going to be in your repertoire, catch a W with a tombstone out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then you can always lay on the excuse of, well, it was Adam Page given a tombstone. It wasn't Undertaker. Undertaker might have came down with a lot more force because he's so much taller, so much bigger.
Yeah, you can sell it by his undersize or whatever.
We get Page with an avalanche flip power slam for another 2 count. So a tombstone doesn't take you out. A dead eye doesn't take you out. An avalanche flipping power slam from the top rope doesn't take you out. And then we get Red Dragon coming out for some reason to distract.
Well, of course, they got to be involved.
There just has to be
bullshit
in every match. And it's like, we can't just leave these two very talented guys to just do their match. We've already seen enough Red Dragon tonight.
Can't leave well enough alone. Just got to get involved and and get them in there for whatever reason it is. And I don't think they're even foreshadowing in this long story format. They are just, hey, send out the 2 knuckleheads.
Right. We just want to get more action.
That's it. It's not for a long term. They're going to screw it up for Adam Cole, and then now he's mad at Red Dragon, and then Red Dragon does this, and then one of them switches to a good guy, and the Young Bucks get involved, and there's this whole thing. It's just like, hey, we need 2 guys. You go.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And at this point, Brian, the match at the beginning, at the middle, was pretty solid. These guys working great together, but it is getting ridiculous at this point. I'm going to point out one more time. Deadeye, nothing. Tombstone, nothing. Avalanche flip power slam, nothing. Adam Cole hits a Panama Sunrise,
His
which is
finisher.
his move. Hits a Panama Sunrise off the ring apron and onto the floor. Rolls Adam Page into the ring. 2 count. It's just like, do you have to hit him in the head with a fucking chainsaw at this
That's
point?
it. You got to swing it around like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre dance in the middle of the road, swinging chainsaws to finish him off. That's the only way you can beat a cowboy.
And then, so we just had a Panama Sunrise on the outside of the ring. Then we're back in the ring. Brian, he gets a 2 count. Cole hits a Panama Sunrise and then a boom right in the middle of the ring right after that. So we got Panama Sunrise on the ground, Panama Sunrise in the ring, and a boom. 2 count.
2 count.
And Adam Cole's finishers mean absolutely nothing now.
At
They
this
are
point,
doing nothing to
yeah.
Adam Page.
For this match, they mean nothing, and I'll give you that. They've been done so much now, so I'd rather see them not get to the pin, but get the finishing move in. For
And
however that works.
we could do a rope break. We could do a distracted ref. Any of that. It's just like, nope. Adam Page is Superman.
That's it.
And
But he's only 2 out of 3 Superman, right? Because he has to lay there for 2 count, and then he can get out. He just takes that extra second to breathe. Why not? You're going to give it to me. I'm going to take it.
Excalibur, the king of excuses, this entire 4-hour show here. The reason the 2 Panama Sunrises in the boom didn't get the 3 count, Brian, is because Cole normally lowers his knee pad, but he wanted to keep his momentum going, so he didn't lower his knee pad.
Well,
So that's why
you take
we
a
didn't get
knee
the
to the
3
back,
count.
a knee to the back of the head with a knee pad.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just get a pillow and take a nap. I mean, it's
You might as well call Mike Lindell and you get a My Pillow and you lay him gently on the pillow. That's what taking a 12-mile-an-hour kneecap with a pad on to the back of the head does.
Oh yeah, and Mike Lindell, My Pillow.
Red Dragon is setting up a table for some reason.
Sure.
Oh, it's so the spot can happen.
The spot is coming.
We hit Adam Page dead-eyeing Adam Cole through said table that Red Dragon set up precisely for that spot. Now the Dork Order are coming out, Brian. And the only reason for Dork Order coming out, I guess, was to get rid of Red Dragon, but there was no reason for Red Dragon to be out there in the first place. So it's like the cat that ate the fly, and the dog that ate the cat, and the goat that ate the dog, and the fucking dinosaur that ate the goat, you know?
Yeah, it goes right down the line of a bunch of jumbled up bullshit.
And it was just so. Just as you stated before, this is a long pay-per-view. It's running late. We got to work in the morning, so it's already just. And then they just decide we're going for a grand finale. It's like 4th of July at 10:45 p.m. We got to throw as much shit in as possible just to top things off here. So
the homie D-Star in the chat pops up real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but he just says Dork Order. Ha ha ha. That is funny. He hasn't heard the Dork Order.
Oh man, just a bunch of fucking dorks. And the Dork Order and Red Dragon brawl out of there and they keep each other busy. That way we can get the buckshot lariat. Adam Cole gets the rope break. So just we've done as many false finishes as humanly possible in this match. Adam Page now ties Adam Cole's wrist to the top rope with a leather belt, Brian, because we all know how well you can tie knots with a leather belt. You can't get out of it.
You can't. You can't. It's so tight. It's like fishing line so tight. It just cranks that in there.
Imagine trying to pick that knot out with a leather belt. It's impossible.
I throw my belts away daily because I get knots in them.
And so while we got this as far as I know, Brian, was this a no DQ match or a no
AEW,
rules match?
AEW no DQ, which
Uh,
just means they make up the rules as they go. No,
I
I
I
think
was
this was
under
just a traditional match.
I was under the impression that this was just a traditional match, but when Adam Page ties Adam Cole's wrist to the top rope with a leather belt, Bryce Remsburg acts concerned, checks the belt, and then just walks away and leaves Adam Cole tied
Well,
up.
of course. Don't be a silly
Wouldn't
goose.
wouldn't a referee that went over there and checked the belt go, hey, you can't tie him to the top rope, and they would untie the fucking belt?
They'd untie the fucking belt.
Ugh. So Cole eventually gets himself free. Adam Page hits the boom and then a buckshot lariat. So he gets a finishing move from his opponent and himself. And it's a wrap on that. Adam Page retains the title.
Adam Page retains the title. That is the longest pay-per-view ever. Andy pops in the chat. That was probably... Wait, what does he say? That match was probably made a no DQ match halfway through. So we didn't get the note. Tony Khan passed it. He signed it into effect. And there you go. It's no DQ was allowed. But that pay-per-view was... I feared that it was starting at... I feared that it started at 8. It wasn't overall, it was good. The matches were fine. It was just packed so tight for me that I just didn't have the emotional, physical energy to stay all in and give it everything it needed. And you hate to want to watch him again or need to watch him again later. You want to just sit and digest it. So it was like, this thing started at 8. If you can't wrap it by 11, cut some shit.
Yeah. But no, we got to get everything in. And it's just...
Everybody gets their time. And there you go. And it exhausts you. And then that leads us to do a long podcast the week following. So that is it. That is the KayFabe Smark podcast covering AEW's Revolution as it was televised, as they always told us it would be. And, yeah, make sure you guys follow us on YouTube and hit that like button and subscribe and notification bell. Hit us up on Instagram and TikTok and social media platforms. And let's talk professional wrestling. And that's what I got for us to wrap it up. Eric, what do you have for us?
That's about it for me, too. So for you, Brian, for the Snooze and Pitbull Stella Marie, and for myself, I've got nothing else to say. But hooty hoo, we out the gates.